This is the first episode of Know Your Why. My name is Laura, and we are here today to get to the root of it. That's why. And so, our first guest today is Mr. Zapray himself, numerology expert and creator of TheZAxis. And he is here to help educate people on numerology, asking all the big whys. And that's why he's a perfect first guest. Welcome, Zapray.
Thank you so much, Laura. I'm very excited to be on here. This is my first time on a podcast, and I know it's your first time doing a podcast, so I know this is going to be really good.
Absolutely. I'm excited.
Thank you. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so the first question I have for you today is going to be who or what introduced you to numerology as far as how you discovered it?
Okay, so what made me discover numerology is very similar to like how other people have discovered it. It's what people call angel numbers. I don't really particularly like that name anymore, but I'll go into that later. But what happened is I was getting into spirituality, and I kind of woke up to a different world, and around I say like 2015, which would have been like my freshman year, my sophomore year, like around then. And I asked the universe when I moved to California in 2019. I asked, like, I want to see synchronicities, and synchronicities is where I'm like, oh, I love the new Ninja Turtles movie. It was so awesome. It was so dope. And then you're like, and then you just see a turtle walk across the street. It's like synchronicity.
That
It's
happens.
insane.
That does happen.
Yeah. And I was like, I want synchronicities. And then the universe was like, bet. And then they just started hitting me with numbers 111, 222, 333, 444, 555. And it was just drowning me. I was just getting hit with it over and over and over again. And I was just like, why? Because I had already had like a big background in mathematics where I had like, oh, this number means this to me, and this number means that to me. And it's like, oh, I like this number. I like this number. So it was like almost like every time on the clock, or every number that I saw at checkout, because I was working, like as a cashier, or I was working as like a roofer, or I was doing something, I would see the time, I would see anything, and it was just like, this number means something to me. This means something to me. It means something. What does it mean? What does it mean? What does it mean? And I looked it up, and it was like, and I was going down the traditional route that everyone else goes through. It's like angel numbers. Like, what does this number mean? What's the meaning of 420? What's the meaning of 53? What's the meaning of 22? And I started using those as guidelines. And I eventually found this app called Numerology and Tarot, and the developer doesn't do anything with it now, but it was this app that had like the basic, most rudimentary definitions of the numbers there, and that's where I found out. I'm a life path 4. I'm my expression number, which is the addition of all the letters in my name, is a 5. My soul's urge is an 11. My inner dreams is a 3. My subconscious self, now what I call the fight or flight number, is a 7. And then there was my personal year. I was in a 5-year, and it was it was stuff that was just completely new to me that I never understood. But then it just made so much sense. I was like, wow, this is the truth. And before that, I'm a 4. One of the things that's about 4s is I'm a 13/4 to be exact. And one of the most common characteristics with a 4, anyone born on the 4th, the 13th, the 22nd, the 31st, anyone whose birthday adds up to 4, like one of the most common characteristics is that they require proof for every thought. Like if you
Need to
tell
believe.
yeah. You're a 4. Laura is a 31/4. If you tell Laura, hey, it's rain. If you tell me, hey, it's raining outside, I'm not going to believe you until I see it's raining.
Yep.
So I had this tremendous battle. I grew up as a Catholic, and the Christian ideology, the Christian religion is not. It doesn't make much sense from a logical point of view, and that's why a lot of 4s are actually atheists. And me, myself, I wasn't atheistic. I knew there was this thing because, I'd always pray to God, I'd get an answer. But numerology was so concrete. It was so logical because it's just numbers. There was, there's no way around it. It's like, my birthday is 9/2/2000, September 2nd, 2000. 9 + 2 + 2 is 13. There's no way around that calculation. Numbers are exact. And I'm looking, and it's like, this just makes so much sense. Like, I've always had an affinity to numbers. I've always had it. And it's just like, this is just making so much sense. I'm this number and I act like this. And then I started talking to other people, and I was like, hey, what's your birthday? And I just started using the knowledge that I got on this app, and I was like, oh, what's your birthday? And I just started reading people, like I wasn't super sick with it, but like it took me maybe like a month or two to get like all the definitions down. And I was like, oh, you're a 5, like, oh, you're really good at adapting, you're really good at this. And they're like, yeah, that's true. Or I'm like, oh, you're a 3, and they're like, you're really creative, you're really musical. It's just like these rudimentary definitions. And it was like, just the most basic thing. And there was just so much truth in it. And like, that's like what really brought me down the path of numerology.
Wow. Absolutely. I can definitely resonate with that myself. And I'm sure there's many people out there that can resonate with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so what are other practices or divinations are you interested in?
Well, besides numerology, I was so when I was a child, not like a child, but like when I was a teenager, the person who, I won't say their name, but it was a girl that she got me interested in spirituality in a sense, because she was talking about things like manifestation, like, oh, like it was like, okay, we were trying to I was with my best friend Travell, and we were gonna go to their house, and she was like, like pretend let's imagine my mom's not there yet. Imagine she's not there yet. Like imagine like think about it, like she hasn't arrived yet. There's like she's not home. So we get there, she's not there. And I was like that was so weird to me. I was like what are you talking about? Like why would that matter? Why would it matter like what I think? Like why would that matter? And like through that person, she was into astrology. And I was like, I didn't have any like understanding of astrology. I knew I was a Virgo because everyone knows like what their sun sign is.
Right.
Everyone knows that. And it was like I just knew I was a Virgo. I didn't know anything about Virgo, and she was a Virgo as well. And I just, like she was educating me on that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. And like through that, like just like from that initial like invitation to spirituality, like these divination being like astrology, palm reading, even just like manifestation, like using your mind as a form of divination is just telling the future, figuring out events through means that are not like physical. And it was like and one of the things that like finally made it click was how like the universe was intelligent. Was I was in Georgia, actually I was in St. Simon's Island, Georgia, and I was looking at how the dirt around a tree, there was no grass around the tree. And I realized that like the tree grows intelligently so that it can gather the most amount of sunlight because it's in a competitive sense. And and for some reason that just made it click that like I live in a conscious universe. If like this tree and this plant is conscious of this, then like what else is conscious? And from there, and like from there, I just started building up. And that was in 2017, 2016. And then, in 2019 is when I first discovered numerology, after kind of having that base of like, the whys. Why is this work? Why is that work? The manifestation, like, oh, I want to find my iPhone. Like, I'm going to imagine it. I found my iPhone. I found it. I swear I found it. It's here. There it is. And then bam, there it is. And it was like, or it was like, hey, draw a card, like, and I'm thinking, I'm like, oh, it's the 5 of clubs. And it was the 5 of clubs, like stuff like that. And like, that was like my first introduction. And then when I moved from where I lived in Japan, I grew up in Japan, where I moved in 2018. I went to California, and then the whole story I told about numerology happened. So like, yeah.
That's awesome. And what's your upbringing like?
So I was born in North Dakota. I'm a 5. So one of the things about 5, like my expression is a 5. It's a 95/14/5. So one of the things that's common amongst 5s is that they move around a lot. 5 is a number that never sits still ever, and it just moves, and it goes this place, it goes that place. So my upbringing was really volatile in like where I lived. So I was born in North Dakota, and then I moved to Georgia, and then I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and then I moved to Japan, and then I moved back to Jacksonville, then I moved back to Japan, then I moved to Georgia, then I moved back to Japan, then I moved to California, and then I was in California, and then I moved to Florida, then I moved to Georgia. And it's like, this is in the 5.
Constantly moving.
Yeah, I have a huge background of just going everywhere. But like where I call my home is Japan. I would identify my home as Jacksonville in Japan, really, because those are like my big stomping grounds. Is like, Jacksonville was my youth, my pre-K to fourth grade, and then Japan was my fourth grade to my sophomore year. Like my 10 to 18. I was that's where I was, and that's where I accumulated the best connections I had. That's where I accumulated like most of my wisdom, most of my knowledge, most of the things that like were my deep upbringing, like where I was just a kid. And yeah, I grew up in Japan on a military base, on Yokosuka Naval Base.
Oh, awesome. That sounds like such an amazing experience going back and forth and moving here and there.
Yeah, it was. I mean, like it was a little stressful for sure. Like at sometimes, but I like one of the things with like fives in particular is they don't like stagnation at all. They're not a fan of it at all, like whatsoever. So I enjoyed like, oh, I'm in a new town right now, or oh, I'm in a new this, I'm in a new that, and like I always craved the new. I always wanted the new, the new, the new, the new. I mean, new even starts with the 14th letter N, which is 1 + 4 5. So, the five is always trying to get new, 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 new. And and just I was always moving locations, and it was great. I liked it. And then, there was other times where, I didn't like it.
Of course. I mean, it's all just part of the process.
No, absolutely.
And so what are some of the common misconceptions about numerology that you've noticed?
There's a lot of misconception around reduction. So, for those of you that are just getting into numerology and that are just seeing this, you're told that you're a life path 11, or you're a life path 5, or you're a life path 6, and there's nothing beyond that. And the only numbers that are not broken down are 11, 22, and 33. This is not the case. There is this is the biggest misconception in all of numerology, is that you only break down master number, or that you only do not break down master numbers. Master number is the only number that you maintain. And what so there are so many different life paths. There's actually 59 life paths that you can be. You can be the lowest life path that you can be currently in this day and age is a 4. And that is if you were like a pure 4, just 4. And that's if you're born on January 1st, 2000. There's only 4 dates that it can happen: January 1st, January 10th, October 1st, and October 10th, because it's 1-1. 2000. Those are the only days you could be a 4. And the highest life path is a 61. The 11 and the 22 in numerology don't get broken down when you're adding birthdays. So 11/22, 1999 is the highest life path you can have. It's a 61/7, because 6 + 1 is 7. So you have 11 plus 22 is 33, plus 1999, which is 28, and 33 plus 28 is 61. So there's this wide array of life paths from 4 to 61 that everyone can be. Like, I am a life path 13/4. Laura is a 31/4. She is the inverse of mine, but there's something so special about being a 31, and there's something so special about even being a 13. Even though they have the same numbers, there's something so special about the fact that this number comes first, or this number comes last. And like, when we look at these master numbers like 11, 22, and 33, like they are not any more special than any other number, because every number has its own unique path that it undertakes. And it's like, there's like the analogy of like, I always ask people, they're like, oh, what's the best number? What's the most powerful number? What is it? And it's like, I ask like what's your best body part? Like, tell me your best body part. Like, what's the most functional best body part that you have? And the answer is none. There's
Right.
no best body part. It's the, like, if you say, oh, it's my brain, well, like, if you don't have a heart, like, what's going to pump the blood? If you don't,
Literally.
yeah. And it's, if you say heart, then like, what about your legs? Where are your legs going to move you? And it's like each one of these numbers, they're not like the best. It's like each one of these numbers is the best at one thing. Like,
Exactly.
yeah. And And when you get beyond life paths and you get into names are where there's like a really, really detailed form of numerology, because you're not just working with 4 through 61 anymore. You're working with every number possible. Like Pablo Picasso, my friend Joshua, he JD Synchronous on Twitter. He showed me something where you look at Pablo Picasso's name. It is like some ridiculously long name. His whole name, using the reduction cipher, Pythagorean numerology, where A equals 1 and Z equals 8, because Z is the 26th letter, 2 plus 6 is 8. Using that cipher, his whole name equals 474. Like a ridiculously gigantic number of 474. He has like 30 names or some ridiculous number like that. And when you get into name numerology, the amount of combinations, the amount of numbers that you can have is insane. And each one is just so important. They're just so they control like the absolute insanity, like how much they influence you. Like my expression is a 95, and 9 plus 5 is 14. So it's a 95/14/5, because 1 plus 4 is 5. Laura's is a 74. It's a 74/11/2. Like there's different forms of 11 as well. Like, we say 11 is the master number, but every, like after the number 20, all the 11s are completely different. You have 29, which is 2 plus 9, 11, 38, 47, 56, 60, what is it, 60, 65, 65, 74, it keeps going, 83,
Yep.
92. It just keeps going. And like each one of these is unique in every way. And it's so powerful. Like it's so powerful. Each one is just amazing. Like there's just there's endless loop of just information that you can really get into within numerology. Another thing is that like it's not a misconception, but there's actually like these there's like this deepness to numerology where you can use even like primes. Like even prime numbers matter. Triagonal numbers. Like triagonals is when you like add 1 plus the next version of the number, like 1 plus 2 plus 3. That equals 6. 6 is the third triangular number. There's like, there's things, where that matters. Like 28, like, we hear that 28 is the number of wealth. It's the number of, it's the number of wealth. It makes you wealthy. It's because 28 is the number of currency. It's the number of currency, and it's the number of currency because it's connected to the moon. And you can figure out numerology through that way. It's like, looking outside, looking at like what numbers are showing up in nature. The moon is on a 28-day cycle. And what does the moon do? It controls the tides. And what is money? Money is currency. Money is cash flow. It's a bank. We put stuff in a bank, and then it's all connected to that. And 28, it happens to be a triangular number. 1 through 7. If you add up 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 equals 28. And 7 is the number of the deepest part of the ocean. It all like encapsulates into this really large picture. And one of the misconceptions is that you're just this one number. You're just this one number, when really you're this conglomeration of everything. You're just
Yeah.
and
Like a code, like a Da Vinci code kind of thing.
Absolutely. Like when I gave you your reading, it was not just like, okay, your expression is an 11, your life path is a 4. It was like, it was all to do with like, just the fact that like you had that 7 and the 4, like showed me how like deep and scalpel minded you are. Like it showed me like the whole reason that we're even doing this, because I saw that, like 74 is this perfect number for asking questions. And Laura does this all the time. She asks questions all the time. Like she is always facilitating this. And I was confused. I was like, well, you got to do, I have this vision of you interviewing people. 11 does that. 11 is like this therapist. And like 74 in particular is so good at it, because 7 and 4, 7 is the number of the bottom of the ocean, and 4 is the number of the bottom of the earth. These are deep question numbers, and earth and water are feminine elements. And like, the feminine aspect is like, it's this facilitation of just getting deep things coming from there, just deep roots of information. And like, it's like, she's not just an 11, she's a 74/11. And it's just so much deeper than what is conveyed on the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are bad numbers, and are some more powerful than numbers? Because they call it and they quote unquote say that this is a good number, this is a bad number, this is more powerful, this is not powerful.
Yeah, like 66, like 666 and stuff
Yeah.
like that. Yeah, and I mean, there's no such thing as a bad number. There's like polarities. Like, we have this
What do you
misconception.
mean? What do you mean polarities?
Okay, polarities is the opposing sides of a magnet. And where one number is, so we can take, like, let's say you're a 6, like you're born on the 6th, the 15th, the 24th, or your life path as to a 6, you're a 33. Like, the polarity of 6 is the number of the scale. Six is connected to grudges, because they always feel like they need to balance out their scale. That's why, like, the 6 feels uncomfortable when someone does something to them or does something for them, because they feel like they always need to pay it back. There is a polarity of that 6 where that 6 can become absolutely aggressive because of that. It's like, there's the polarity, the good polarity, and there's the negative polarity, where it's like, they're holding grudges because they're angry, they feel like they need to pay back, they need to get revenge, they need to do all that. Or there's the 6 that's like, like they have to forgive. They have to forgive. Forgive starts with the 6-letter F. There's the opposing polarities. Every number can be bad. Every number can be good. And right now we're preaching, what the whole numerology community is preaching is that 9 is bad. We preach that 9 is bad, and it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense that any number is bad, because when you talk to real life people, like, sure, you could cite a bunch of famous people that are 9s that have just done a bunch of horrible things, but you look at real life people, you talk to a real 9, and a lot of them are humanitarians. A lot of them want to help people. A lot of them want to do things like that.
I've
And
seen.
yeah, it's like, it's self-fulfilling evidence. All you have to do is, like, go talk to a 9. But nowadays we vilified that number, and it's just there's no villainous number. There's no number that has, like, villainous tendencies. Every number can be villainous at its core. Like, the number that's most associated with serial killers is actually a life path 7. Why don't we attack them? Why don't we attack the life path 7? Because a lot of serial killers are 7s. They're not 9s. They're not 9s. So 7, 7 must not be a humanitarian, or 7 must not be good for people. It's like, why are 7s, the most common life path among serial killers? If it's like, if 9 is the most evil, shouldn't that be what's true? Like, it's we teach that this number is bad, this number is good, this number is above all of them. There's no above all number.
Right.
And I explained that, earlier, like, when you understand, like, there's a 91/10/1 out there. I just gave a reading to one the other day. There's a life path 19. There's life path 31s, there's life path 22s, there's life path 23s. And when you understand that, like, these numbers are so detailed that it's impossible for you to ascribe one number to be above all. When like, it's like, you could have a 33, right? Because that's what we say is the best, because 33 is there's 33 vertebrae in the spinal column, and then you have the pineal gland. But if you really get into it, I mean, like, 33 is the staircase up, but the pineal gland is technically 34. Like, if you really want to get into it, like, it's like, that if you add the 33 going up the top, where what we're really talking about, the pineal gland, where that's where all the visions come from. That's where the DMT is produced. That's where your mind's eye is. That's the pineal gland. Where that's concerned, that's actually 34. And I mean, pineal gland starts with the 16th letter P, which is 1 + 6, 7. So I mean, it's like, why are we not saying 7 is the master number, the master teacher? The top.
Right.
It's just like, every number does what it's supposed to do, and it does it the best that it can. And, like, even within 9s, there's 18s, there's 27s, there's 36s, there's 45s, there's 54s. There's 63s, 72s, 81s. There's all these numbers are doing something completely different that that version can only do the best. It's like, who's the best number? Who's the most powerful number? Well, you got to ask me, what situation are we in? What situation are we in for what's the most powerful number? Like, it's like, okay, who's the most powerful number when it comes to convincing someone what to do? 5. 5 is the most convincing number there is. It is the salesman. It's highly connected to sales. It is because 5 is the number of air. It's the top of the air. 3 is the other air number, but 3 is the result of 1, which is fire, and 2, which is water, and they create steam. So that's where the 3 is. But 5 is all the air we breathe. The first vowel of breathe is E, which is the 5th letter. We breathe nitrogen. Nitrogen is the most abundant element, starting with E, element in the air. It is the most abundant element, and nitrogen starts with the 14th letter N. Nitrogen has an atomic weight of 14. You can see like all these things. So what happens is 5s, they breathe in what's going on around them. They're the real chameleons. They are chameleons, and they adapt. They breathe in what's going on around them. And when they breathe it in, they micromanage who they are in order to be the most convincing to the person. They adapt and they become exactly who they need to be. They change their face, face stealers. They're someone that, you're talking to a 5, and it's like the version of the version of 5 that you're talking to right now, the version of this person is a completely different version of any other person that they've ever been with anyone else, because they're breathing you in. And, and at the same time, you're breathing them in. That's why 5s always change people. They always change people. And my expression is 5. That's why I'm always changing people. I'm always changing perspectives. I'm doing this. And it's like, so when we ask, like, what's the best number? What's the best salesman? 5. Like, who's the best at, like, expressing themselves and creating and like making music and writing and doing that? 3. Who's the best? Who's the most sensitive and able to like see the shadow? Shadow is in the 2nd dimension. It's 2. 2 can see the shadow. 2 can show you who you are and can see who you are on the inside. Who's the best leader? Who's the person who's going to lead? Who's going to be the pioneer? Who's the competitor? That's 1. We put these numbers in these different scenarios, and that's where they shine. With 6, who's going to balance people out? Who's going to heal you? 6 is the number of fire. It's the outside of the fire. It's the outside. 1 is the inside of the fire, the bottom of the fire. 6 is, or it's the top, the sun. And 6 is the warmth we feel around. So the 6 is this healing energy that can, who's going to be the best healer? 6 is connected to the stomach. Stomach, the first vowel is O, the 15th letter. Cook, the first vowel is O, the 15th letter. Food, the first vowel is O, and the first letter is 6. So, we have that, and it's like, who's going to do that the best? Who's going to cook the best? Who's going to heal the best? Who's going to keep the family together the best? The 6. And we have 7. 7 is the number of psychology. 7 is the number of learning. It's the number of study. It's all these things that it's like, who's going to study the best? Who's going to hear the words that are being said underneath the words that are actually being said? 7 is perception, the 16th letter P. They perceive, they learn, they go deep. And it's like, who's gonna do the best managing? Who's gonna be the boss? Who's gonna see the harvest? 8 is the number of harvest. They have a keen ability to see what's gonna happen in the future. That's why they're an anxious number, because they're always looking to the future, and they're always looking to the past, because they're looking towards the harvest. They're looking at what's going to grow. They're looking at what's going to happen. They're looking at what's happening here, what's going on here, what's going on there, and they get stuck in that. But when they really balance themselves out, they're the best at seeing what's going to happen and planning for it. Now we take 9. 9 is the best at changing the world, because 9 added to another number, like 9 plus 5 is 14. That is a different number. 9 is always changing people. And because every number comes from 9, 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 is 45. 4 plus 5 is 9. If you subtract 9, it's just 1 through 8 added up. It's 36. 3 plus 6 is 9. So there's multiple proofs to go along with that. There's multiple mathematical proofs. I'd have to pull up whiteboard.
You gotta get a whiteboard, a clipboard. You gotta get one of those like big
Yeah.
like you know how they did in school where they would flip the paper over, like, all right, let's turn it over and start writing.
It's everything. There's so many proofs to just show that, and it's like this is why 9 is the creator. This is why 9 wants to help everyone, or it wants to destroy. It wants to destroy because it has every number, or it wants to help because it has every number, and it feels like it's children. It's it's like, what is the best? Because you see so many 9s. One of the big problems with 9s is they just run themselves into the ground. They just help someone until they die. They just do it till it's over. They just beat the brakes off of helping someone, or they run into the selfishness. They run into the ego because they have every number. So they get into this feeling like, I don't want to help anyone. I want to do it for myself. I want to be myself. I want to do that. And it's like, we're getting back to the topic at hand. It's like, what number is the best number? There is no best number. It's what kind of area are you going to put this number in, and what area are we looking at? What area of expertise, what area of skill are we looking at? There's the best number. Wherever that skill is, whatever this number needs to apply to, whatever this is, that's where it's the best. There's no top of the food chain in numbers. Just like the lion, the lion, you're sure like top of the food chain, right? But like, you throw the lion into the tiger's territory and the tiger eats the lion up. It's over. You throw it's over. They have their own niche. They have their own niche that they have to follow through, and that's each number. It's all environmental.
Absolutely. And what is the significance to your name in numerology?
I have found name numerology is something that is not covered very much, and I can understand why. It's sort of complex when you have to when you start like. Birthdays are easy. It's like there's a number there already. Like, it's like, hey, September 2nd, 2009, 2.
Yep.
It's easy. It's like it's there. It's understandable. But when you get to letters have their own value too through a system called gematria. Gematria is a Hebraic and Greek practice. Greek one being called isosophy, where values are assigned to letters, and they're assigned through an order. With the English cipher, what we currently use as English, A is 1, Z is 26, but you would break 26 down and make it 2 + 6, 8. So when you add someone's name together, we can take my name, Gabriel. G is 7, A is 1, B is 2, R is 9, I is 9, E is 5, and L is 3. That equals 36. My name, Gabriel, adds up to 36. And there is a huge significance with that, an absolutely ginormous significance with that, because this name is what I identify as. I identify as my name. I don't go around saying like, hey, what's up, May 5th? Hey, what's up, September 2nd? Hey, what's up, August 4th?
Exactly.
I don't identify you by your birthday. So your name is your soldier. It's the soldier associated with how you interact. The things that you can gather from the name, you can gather the expression, the way you express yourself, your soul's urge, what your highest self desires, your inner dreams, which is what your ego desires. And these two, they have to work in tandem. They have to work in tandem real good. And you can also derive your subconscious self, and you can derive your opposing conscious self. These 5 aspects are pivotal in what I do when I do a reading. They are pivotal because these are your keys to happiness and abundance. They are keys to it, because your expression, like the thing that holds all of us back is being unable to express ourselves in a society that pushes down people that are different.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have expression numbers that are different. Like they denote differences. Like your 74 like denotes like a lot of misunderstanding from people, because not a lot of people can get down on the same level as the 4 and the 7 and really understand like what's going on inside of your head.
Absolutely.
You usually have to be the one to understand someone else. Exactly. And like it's so when you understand that through your expression, like the way you express yourself is almost like an enigma. Like for you specifically, Laura, like it's an enigma. And like when you understand that, you start to realize, like you should only be letting people in that are willing to go down that deep. Because like you could, in your life, you've had a lot of times where you just let anyone in, because whether or not they could get deep with you or not, because you just wanted to be understood. And It's like understanding the power of that, like understanding that expression, that's a leg up. That's a leg up. That's a leg up where it's like, like I need to take myself serious and, only let people in that are really going to understand me. And then when you have your soul's urge, your inner dreams, these tell you what you really want to do. And people have two types of abundance. They have happiness or they have monetary abundance. And, the goal is to have both. The only way to have both is to listen to your inner dreams and your soul's urge. That is the only way to have both. Because if let's say you're making a bunch of money at this big company and you're like balling, you got a private jet, you got whatever the hell you want, but you're just not happy. It's probably because your soul's urge, your inner dreams is not what you're doing. It's not what you're doing. And like, Laura had a soul's urge, inner dreams where it was, what she was doing is not what she wanted to do. This is what she wants to do. Express herself. And this is what's going to bring her abundance. This is what's going to do it. My soul's urge is a 38 and my inner dreams a 57. That means that 38 is 11. It's wanting to have elevation with the 3, 8, which is business, through spirituality, which is 11. I want to elevate and conduct business with spirituality. That is a big thing about me. That is what I want to do. And there's my inner dreams, which is my 57, which is to have my talent, which is 5, my knowledge, which is 7, and 3, because it adds up to 12. 12 is to be seen. It's the child. It wants attention. I want attention for my talents and my knowledge. That's what I do. And so when I get that, when I facilitate that, or at least I bring, and another thing I like is to bring attention to other people's talent and other people's knowledge. Yes. That's another thing I facilitate. And it's like, that's my inner dream. And then my soul's urge. And when you do that stuff, that is when you were the happiest. That is when you were the happiest that you could possibly be. And that's when you're making the most money. Because what to do is you're supposed to do exactly what you like. Because when you do what you like, you feel good. And when you feel good, you attract good stuff into your life. That's where you get the good stuff is coming towards you because you're feeling good. That's what manifestation is. Manifestation is energy, emotion. It's feeling good. It's like, how many times I've just needed to make rent. I need to make rent. I'm just struggling. It's like, I'll get to January 20th or something like that. And rent's due on the 3rd of February. And I have to make $2,000. I've been $0 at January 20th, 13 days left. Well, that would technically be 14 days left to make my rent. And it's what am I going to do? Am I going to sit there and think oh, I'm not going to do it? No, I have to sit there and be I'm going to do it no matter what. It's there. And I have to practice feeling like that. And every situation that anyone is in is something that you want to be in. You want to be in that situation no matter what. There's some part of you that's comfortable with it, or else you would have changed it. And a good way to understand how to change it is to see your soul's urge, your inner dreams, and your expression. Because you look at that and you see I really, this is actually what I want to do. I really actually want to do this. And then when you start doing what you actually want to do, which is what happened to me, I started actually doing numerology. I started actually getting on TikTok. I started actually putting out videos because that's what I wanted to do. And now I'm abundant. I was doing DoorDash for a long time. I was doing DoorDash for 2.5 years. That was my main source of income. And now this month, I made my rent. I didn't DoorDash a single time. I just did numerology. And that's it. Everyone has that capability that once you follow your soul's urge, once you follow your inner dreams, once you follow your expression, all of that culminates into complete balance. And when you do that, that means you activate every number that's in your name, and every number that's in your name, that's how you get your subconscious self. So my name is Gabriel Troy Greer. All the numbers in there, the only numbers I don't have are 4 and 8. I have no D's, I have no M's, and I have no V's. And I have no H's, I have no Q's, and I have no Z's. DMV is 4. HQZ, that's 8. I don't have any of those numbers, meaning I have the numbers that I do have. Those numbers are 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 9. That adds up to 33. My subconscious self is a 33. So when you figure that out, when I am in absolute alignment, I become the 33. I become the 33. And what the 33 is I start to get attention. 33 is the most attention drawing number there is. It's the number, it's got 2 child numbers. 3 is the number of the child. 1 is masculine. 2 is feminine. 1 plus 2 is 3. It's the child. So when you have double child numbers, that's when you get a lot of attention. Another thing about that is joy. 3 is connected to joy. As when I activate that, I start to feel joyous. I start to feel joy. I love numerology. It makes me feel great. It makes me feel wonderful. And that is the goal. Whatever your subconscious self is, you want to activate it. You want to activate it. You want that to be in activation, because whatever that subconscious self is, whether it's a 29, whether it's a 33, whether it's a 30, whether it's a 45, let's say you have all the numbers, it's a 45 then, whether it's that, that is your highest vibration, is whatever that number is, and that's all derived from your name. And you can look at the number that's on the opposing end of that, which is the 2 numbers I have, 4 and the 8. That's a 12. That's my opposing conscious self. What that means is that number right there is what stops me from activating my subconscious self. Those are the thoughts that hold me back. When in that 12, what that means, if you have a subconscious self 12, meaning if you have an opposing conscious self 12, meaning you have a subconscious 30, what that means is that what holds you back is laziness, procrastination, a need for attention, even a need to first sacrifice yourself in order to get attention. And I can look back in my life and see where I wanted to be liked so bad that I just turned myself off just to do that. And that was what held me back. And it was the stuff of me wanting to conform. 12 is about conformity. It conforms. Conformity starts with the third letter C. 3 wants to conform. It's naturally like a very conformative number. And it's because it's the child. The child wants to please. The child wants to have attention. So I wanted to please the world before. And when I stopped doing that, and instead I turned it back on me, and I wanted to please myself, that's where I activated my 33, and that's where I became balanced. And everything I just said, this whole long tangent, is figured out from the name. And for those of you that are listening to this that don't have a name in English, the way you would figure this out, I don't know how to do your subconscious self. I don't know how to do your soul's urge. I don't know how to do your inner dreams, because those are from vowels, consonants, and then all the numbers present. But how you would do a name, let's say your name's written in kanji, it's a Japanese name, or it's a Chinese name, a Taiwanese name, you would count strokes, and that's what you use. And that's something I'm perfected now. But for you English speakers, for you speakers of other language with alphabets, anyone who has the alpha beta, the A through Z, whatever your language is, those numbers that are assigned there, that's how you figure out these aspects of you. Your vowels is your soul's urge. Your consonants is your inner dreams. The whole addition of your whole name is your expression. And whatever numbers you have present, added up, that's your subconscious self. And whatever numbers are not there, added up, that's your opposing conscious self. And that's how you get these things. And it's all derived from the name.
Absolutely. That's a very deep answer. That's for sure. It definitely gets you thinking, that's for sure. And what are some practical applications that anybody can use on the daily from numerology?
Well, besides understanding yourself, which I urge this to everyone who wants to become a student of mine, to get a reading from me first. Or, and I'm not even trying to market it. I'm not trying to do that. It's just the first aspect of learning numerology and applying it should always be understand yourself with it first. Whether it's through me, whether it's through Gary the numbers guy, whether it's through any other numerologist there is, whether it's through Lloyd, anyone, using it to understand yourself is the first practical application. And after that, you can start to use it to understand other people.
Yeah.
You can start to use it to understand what's going on around you. You can use your personal date numerology, which is using your personal year, your personal month, your personal day to figure out what's going to happen this month, what's going to happen this. And the way you calculate that is you take the month and day of you were born minus September 2nd, which is 9/2. You add that up. And Laura, what is your birthday? What is your month and day?
September 12, 90.
Okay, so you take we'll take my birthday, which is 9/2. Hers is 9/3 because 12 is 3. So you take that. Hers adds up to 12. Mine adds up to 11. We take the current year, which is 2024. 2 plus 2 plus 4 is 8. For Laura, it would be 8 plus 12, which is 20. For me, it'd be 8 plus 11, which is 19. So that, I can understand, like, it's 19. I'm in a 1 year. Things are starting to move. Things are starting to go. And I can understand also when I look at 19 specifically is the number of the master seed. Everything, it's the number of the master seed. Anything planted within 19, because seed starts with the 19th letter S, semen starts with the 19th letter S, star starts with the 19th letter S, start starts with the 19th letter S. So to stop. And it's like, it's a start and stop with it. It's a 1, which is beginning, and then 9, which is ending. And it's ready for the 10, and 10 completes it. 10 is the number of completion. It completes it. You can't have something, 99.9% isn't completion. It's 10. And I learned that specifically from a guy named Spreadology on Twitter. His name is Felix. You should check him out 100%. But like the aspect is, the 19 is specifically, I can understand, like, okay, like what I plant this year is going to grow. What I plant this year is going to grow. So I need to make sure that I plant something proper. I need to be sure that it's good. And then I take my month, which is January, and I add to 19 is 20. So I'm like, okay, I'm in a 20 month. Laura's in a 21 month. So we got to understand, like we have the 20 month right now. And it's like, okay, it's like, that's about consciousness. That's about seeing my shadow. That's about, learning. It's about teaching myself. It's about teaching others. 20 is the number of teaching. Teaching starts with the 20th letter T. So it's, and what is teaching? Teaching is adding on to something. 2 is the first instance of adding on to anything. So we have, like we have 1 and then 2. But like the thing is like, I understand that. So it's like, okay, in order to be in perfect alignment, I need to be teaching. And I need to be learning about my shadow. I need to be learning. I need to be focusing on like consciousness. Who is consciousness? And it's like for Laura, she's in a 21. Because she's in a 21, she knows that she needs to express herself. She needs to express herself to the highest through like how she is that like a childish expression, because 21 is highly connected to the child. It's highly connected to the child. It's also connected to the adolescent, because 21 is the 6 triangular. 1 through 6 added up is 21. So, when we have the 21, for example, that you need to start doing things that you've always wanted to do as a child and things that you wanted to do as an adolescent. And it's like you're going to be moving into that, and stuff that happened to you when you were a child and stuff that happened to you when you were adolescent starts to resurface. Things like that, things that you've always wanted, ways of being. And it's like, understanding that the practical application of just even the base is like 3. You see 3, it's like, okay, like I need to focus on my inner child. Another thing with 3 in particular, and Laura can attest to this, 3 is the number of optimism, but it's also the number of pessimism. Because 3 is the first instance where up can happen. The third dimension is up. Up is either up or down. So what happens is what 3 always does is it makes you think something's really down. Like it gives you a lot of shitty situations that make you think it's down, but in reality, it's something that's actually up. And Laura can attest to that. Like, that's been happening a lot this month.
Absolutely.
It's like you understanding, like, hey, I'm in a 3 month right now. I'm in a 3 year. What feels like down right now is actually going to bring me up. And like, it switches the whole thing. It literally switches the whole dynamic. When you understand what feels the most down right now is actually what's evolving me upwards. And then it's like, there's the practical application of that. Another real practical application that I use all the time is I charge my water with numbers. I'm a true believer in the power of numbers. I put a number present, I put a number here. Like I will take my water bottle right here and I will go 9. Like I want a number there. I want to drink the number. I want it there, because it's like, let's say, I need help ending something. I need help like getting rid of this 9, 9, 9, 9, like 9, help me, 9, help me. I want to express my inner child more. 3, help me. I want to connect to my family more. 6, help me. Help me 6. I wake up in the morning, I write 6 on the mirror, or I write 6 on this piece of paper, or you can even get a tattoo of a number. Get a tattoo of a number, like 6 right there. I want to be more connected to my family. There's 6. I want to balance my emotions more. 6. You could use each number to do stuff like that. You want to be a leader, get 1. Like start asking 1 for help. You want to start pioneering stuff. You want to start something, ask 1 for help. You want to be more conscious. You want to be more intuitive. Ask 2 for help. You want to get in touch with your inner child. Ask 3 for help. You want to work harder. You want to be more organized. You want to wake up earlier. Ask 4 for help. You want to adapt more. You want to sell more. You want to be more convincing. You want your conversation to go like that. ask 5 for help. If you want, you want to be more balanced in your emotions, you're having trouble like dealing with this, ask 6 for help. You want to be more perceptive. You want to understand what's going on around you. You want to study better. You want to learn more. You want to learn some more stuff. You want some information. Ask 7 for help. You want to learn how to direct your life and get a better plan and help other people do the same thing. Ask 8 for help. You want to end it. You want to change your life. You want to change someone else's life. Ask 9 for help. And there's literal practical applications that you can do for that. And, and it goes even deeper. It's like, start your business on this day if you wanted to do this. Price your food this way. Word of game. If you have a restaurant and you want to price your food, 15 is the number of the stomach. 15 is the number of the stomach. Try 15 out. Try pricing stuff in 15 because, stomach, like I said, that O is the 15th letter. Cook, food, stomach, obese. 15 is the 5th triangular. 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 5 is 15. So 5 is the number of consumption. Consumption. The first letter is O. Consume. Social media. The first letter is O. They got you consuming. 15 is the number of consuming. It's not just the stomach. It's the mind too. It's consuming through that. And it's like, if you want people to consume your content, then use that 15. Use that 15. And it's like you could do that. And there's like, there's so many intricate numbers that are going on. I could just keep going back. Like these compound numbers are so important. The 1 and the 5 being 6. And it's like, where are the practical applications? They're everywhere. They're everywhere. You could, but like, at the end of the day, I think the most important application for numerology is to understand yourself. It's to understand yourself, and it's to understand like how you operate, because you don't need this number to be abundant. You don't need this number to do this. You don't need to, start your business on the 28th to get this
Right.
abundance. Yeah, you don't need to like write 28. You don't need to get 28 tattooed. You don't need to do this. It's like you just need to follow your soul's urge, your energies, your expression. You just need to do what you want. You need to do exactly what you want to do. And numerology helps you figure out what you want to do. And answers the why. Know your why. Know your why. You want to know your why. Numerology helps you know your why. You
Absolutely.
want, like, absolutely. You will know your why.
And it's so interesting that you mentioned that you talk to your water.
Yes.
So have you tried any psychedelics?
Yes, I have tried psychedelics. I have done a lot of psychedelics actually. But the one I specifically like would help me figure out how to charge my water or even the power of my voice was DMT. I figured out the power of my voice through DMT. I actually did not blast off. I was not able to surrender. This is another thing that happens with fours. Fours in particular are not able to emotionally surrender all the time. They have a big issue surrendering to their emotions because they're all about that emotional suppression. So when I did DMT, I didn't know what the hell was going to happen. I did not know. I hit it, and immediately it was like I was my vibration was just getting shifted. It was going crazy. I was like, it really feels like you're getting pushed through a cheese grater, like not in like a painful way.
Okay.
It's like you're getting moved into like a different form of existing because your body starts to do, like it starts to dissolve. And like you can feel like you are just this vibration. It's getting separated. Like that's why these numbers even work, because they're just vibrations. They're just vibrations that are they're implementing, they're resonating, they're controlling. But like what happened was I wasn't able to fully surrender. So what I did was I was like mollywopped by it. I was like surprised, and I was uncomfortable. I was very uncomfortable. It was scary. And what I did though is I sat up and I realized I was laying down. I was like, oh, this is supposed to be a spiritual experience. Like I should start meditating. Like mid fractals going everywhere. Like I'm like, I should start meditating. So I sat there and I started doing this meditation that I do. You guys can try it. It's called, it's just Ra, Ma, Da, Sa, Sa, Say, So, Hum. Ra is sun, Ma is moon, Da is earth, Sa, Sa is infinity, Say is God or universe or whatever. And So Hum means I am one. And I just started saying it, and I can only remember a little bit. I was just like raw, and I did this mudra right here, I did that, and I was like raw, ma, and I was just trying to break it. Like trying to like say, and I couldn't remember. I can only remember raw and ma, and I eventually I broke through it, and I just like started going like raw. And like when you hear your voice on DMT, you hear it coming out of you. You don't hear it, you feel it. And it's I use this analogy a lot when it comes to channeling. I channel the numbers. That's how I'm so good at numerology, is I channel it. And you're always channeling at all times. Like if you look at a light switch and you turn on the light, the electricity didn't just start. It didn't just start. The electricity was always going on. You just flipped the switch and the circuit connected and the light turned on. So when I started to use my voice and I felt it, it wasn't like, it was like I was saying Ra and Ma and Da a million times. I was saying it a million trillion infinity times. And it was just like my voice, my mouth suddenly became this on light switch. And it was just like raw. And it was this infinite. I could hear it just visceral, like feeling my whole body. Like I could just feel everything going on. And it was insane. And I would say raw, and I'd feel the sun. I felt the entire sun. And I'd say ma, and I felt the whole moon. I felt everything. And I say da, and I felt the earth. I'd point down, I go da, like I literally shot up. I shot up into my body.
Like Goku.
Yeah, no, real. I was actually wearing a Goku sweater. I was actually
Oh my god.
I was actually wearing a Goku. I have it right here. I was wearing this sweatshirt on my body. This Goku sweatshirt right here that says Goku. And I was doing this during DMT. I looked down and it was literally like, if anyone's seen Dragon Ball Super, what happens, like Jiren reflects the spirit bomb that Goku creates, and then it comes back to him and he absorbs it and he gains Ultra Instinct. It was like the energy that I was generating from the DMT, that vibrational switch that was so abrasive to me, that was so hard for me to deal with, because I wasn't able to fully surrender. It gave me a trip in a different way. And instead it made it go into my body, and it gave me control over my body to use my voice. And like when I was speaking, it was like I was just visceral, just infinite ahs, infinite brah, like everything, just like brah, like every like sound, like throat singing, like it was insane. And it's like, what did I attain from that? It was like, that's the power of my voice. And it showed, instead of, a lot of people go on DMT, and I haven't experienced this yet. I will eventually, when I'm able to surrender, or it presents itself to me. By the way, anyone who wants to do DMT, ayahuasca, any type of psychedelic, seek it out, but like set the right intention, please. Like I don't condone, malpractice for plant medicine, but what it showed me was like it needed, what I needed to know was not like the God I was, outside of this body. I needed to know the God I was inside of this body. And it was how powerful my voice was, that like, it's not like what the DMT showed me was not like, oh, it's like, oh, my voice is only like this on DMT. My voice is like this all day, every second, every word that I speak, with sound. These sound is, sound is a vibration. Sound is a wave. Waves and energies don't disappear. They just bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce until you can't hear them anymore. They never leave. It's infinite. It's infinite all the time. So it was like the power of my voice, the power of like the I am. It's like everything. It's like I am one. It's so hung. I am one. I am the sun. I am the moon. I am the earth. I am infinity. I am God. I am one. I am one with all of these things. And it was like, the power of that mantra just stuck. And it was like, and slowly I figured it out, and that you could do that with numbers. You could take your water, which has memory, by the way. Water is the element of consciousness. We're birthed. Birth it starts with the second letter B. 2 is the number of water. We're birthed. We go through the birth canal. We have blood. We have brains. We have tissue. This body is a product of water. I'm filled with water.
Yeah, your body's filled with water.
Absolutely. And like, your everything that you are is water. Water is the elixir of life. And when water has memory, you can look up, there's like, I don't remember who it is. I believe it's a Japanese a Japanese professor or someone, he's a researcher, he's a scientist, and he reaches cymatics where, like, like he says, like, thank you to this water, or he says, like, I hate you to this water, and he looks at the molecular structure of it, and it's completely different. It's like the thank you is like forming these amazing crystals, and like that I hate you is like they're severed and they're wonky and they're warped. So you take your water and you say what you want to it. You say, you charge it with this, you charge it with that. You say, like, I love you, or confidence, or power. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Any of the numbers, 53, 74, whatever combination of number you need, you can put in that water. And you know what else? You don't even need the water to do that. You don't need the water to do that at all. Before we got on this call, Laura and I did a meditation where we used our voices to set the intention of what we wanted to happen. It was like, allow me to speak in the way that I need to speak for the information to flow properly. You can do that. Your voice is this infinite reverbing thing going on at all times. And like your voice is part of the breath, part of the spirit. And it's like, this is your connection to spelling. Spelling is this is why names are so important. Names are so important. Letters are so important because it's all spelling. You're spelling with your voice. You're manifesting with your voice. You're doing everything with your voice. When you talk, like, how do you express yourself? You use your voice, and all of those things, like going back to those come from your name. The way you talk comes from your name. They that's where it comes from. How you want to talk, how you want to be. And, I just understanding the power of like my voice, it's like, that's what they tell you, like your voice is powerful, and it's, it's like symbolic, and it's also literal. Like, it's, music in itself, sound is the creator of the universe. I will say that, like, I say, the creation of the universe, the physical one, at least, went in order of sound, numbers, symbolism. First, God spoke, or the universe, whatever, Yahweh, Allah, like whatever your deity is, whatever you believe, the universe was spoken into existence. Next, it was quantified. Numbers are quantification. It was quantified. Then symbolism popped up. Planets, vegetation, earth, dinosaurs, whatever. These are symbols. They're things that I can see. And like, notice this: sound, see, symbolism, sight, start. They all start with the 19th letter S. And there's some really key symbolism within 19. It's a very, 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 very powerful number. But like these things are so important. The sound, the voice, the things that you say, starting with the 19th letter S. It's the 1 and the 9, the beginning and the end. Sound is the beginning and the end. I am a vibration. Look at my fingertips. Look at your own fingertips. They are circles. They are they're like crop circles. They're they're spirals. They're
like a map.
I'm the physical representation of the sound that my soul, which also starts with the 19th letter S, makes. I am this sound. I am this being. I am this vibration. I am this resonance that is coming from within. And this is my outward expression. Your voice is so powerful. Use it to charge your life. Use it to change things. Use it to charge yourself. I'm out here expressing myself on here right now, on my TikTok, on my YouTube, on my Instagram, with my voice. Your voice is powerful beyond everything. It's everything.
Absolutely. And it's funny that you talk about meditation. So I wanted to talk about meditation that we did before the podcast.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. Where I was, we just repeated exactly like what we wanted to happen. We just used the sound to charge ourselves. And it's like I reiterate, it's like, please, like, if you want something to happen, right when you're gonna go do something, tell yourself what you want. Tell yourself what you want to happen. Talk yourself through it. Talk yourself and give yourself the instruction. You're a blank slate. You're a blank slate. Your mind is a notebook. Your mind is a notebook. Your body is a notebook. Use your sound to write the correct thing there so that you can go and do it. Tell yourself, like, I'm gonna have the best day I've ever had before. Allow me to meet connections. Allow me to make this sale. Allow me to help this customer in the best way possible. Like literally anything that you want, tell yourself. And that's what we did. That's what we did before. We did a meditation together. We did deep breathing as well. A really interesting thing, and we'll go into this. Zero. We'll go into zero. Zero is a very, very important number that is not talked about a lot. And what is the opposite of what is zero? So if nine is everything, zero is nothing. And both of those numbers are interchangeable. And what we did, a breath technique, is where you do that. You do that for as many times as you want. Do it till you start to feel it. Do it till you start to feel the lightheaded. And on your last, you go and you hold your breath. You hold your breath. You breathe out. You hold your breath. That is experiencing nothing. That is experiencing nothing. And from nothing comes everything. You know, at the end of the day, we are going to return to source, 19th letter S. We're going to return to source, and we'll become nothing. We become nothing. You know, we become nothing. We become everything at the same time. The meditation we did was, you know, it was like this deep breath, deep breath, deep breath, deep out, deep out, deep out, and then hold and then breathe out everything that's inside, everything you don't want, all that anxiety, all that stuff, and you have nothing there. And you sit there. And this, you know, when you have nothing, when you give it away now, you know, like Red Hot Chili Peppers say, that's what you're there to receive. That's your ability to receive. That is the where you will receive. That is how you can receive. And, you know, through getting rid of the breath, you know, that's where you can receive more. And so, you know, breath holding itself is a very, very, very good, very, very, very amazing for you. I highly recommend, you know, upping your breath health. You know, do breath apnea training. You know, like up the CO2, up the O2 in your lungs, your capacity. You know, yeah, like your brain works the best when you breathe. Like
Get the blood flowing.
Absolutely, and you can feel it. You do that stuff, and it's like your heart starts to race. And but when you hold that, when you breathe all that out, you can feel your heart in your chest, but it slows down. It slows down because what you did is you flooded your lungs with oxygen. And now the oxygen is still there. It's in your blood now. You know, that's like what runners, that's what mountain climbers do. They try to up their ability to hold oxygen within their blood, their blood oxygen ratio. I don't know what the exact term is.
Right.
But yeah, that's what we did with the meditation. And it was wonderful. And it got us in the correct mindset, got us in the correct area.
Absolutely. I absolutely agree with you. And let me see. So in numerology, when somebody changes their number, what does that mean for them as far as, you know,
like their name?
Yeah. Like if they go, like they're like 50 or 40 or 30, however, whatever age they want to desire, like they just want to go change their name.
So you have two. Okay, so like I said, like the expression number, soul's urge, inner dreams, subconscious self, opposing conscious self. That formula, those 5 placements are within every single name. Every single name has it. Like you could even take, like, let's say you decide that you want to go by the name Dog. That's just like, you know, like your nickname is Dog. You know, it's like, hey man, like what's up, Dog? And like it's not even like what's up, Dog. It's literally like your name is Dog. And this is what you go by, and everyone calls you Dog. Dog is D and G. Those are the consonants. So Dog equals 26, by the way. When you add it up, it equals 26 in the cipher where O is 15, but it equals 17. So we have 4 plus 6, which is 10, plus G, which is 7. So 10 plus 7 is 17. So Dog, the minor expression number, the expression, which is the addition of all the letters in a name, is 17. So whoever goes by Dog starts to express themselves as 17. And then we take the vowel of Dog, which is the O, which is the 6. So now the soul's urge of Dog is 6. And then we have the 4, which is the D, and the 7, which is the G. 4 plus 7 is 11. So the inner dreams is now an 11 of God. Well, God as well is Dog in reverse. So we could say God too. But like, you know, there's the inner dream there. And then we have the opposing conscious self of that, which is, you know, D is 4, O is 6, and G is 7. So we have 4, 7, 6, which is 17. So the subconscious self, because those are the only numbers there, is 17. And because what numbers we don't have, they add up to, let's see, let's take 45 minus 17 is going to be 28. So we'll have 28 as the opposing conscious self. So whenever you change your name, that's what you're gonna get. That's like that is like you're gonna get a new set of those every time. So, and that goes for whatever name you identify with as
Like a
well.
fresh page, like does the old number, the old name, does you still carry part of those characteristics?
Absolutely. So like, let's say, if you're like, it's a kind of a dark analogy, but let's say you're like a cattle, and you have like a cattle brand. If you take that, that brand, you heat it up in the fire and you stick it on top of your skin, that is still there. That's your original name. The one that's on your birth certificate is your original name. That's the first number vibration name wise that you were ever exposed to. It was the first, like the first one, the first brand that you ever received. You can have a bunch of brands after. Like you can have a bunch of brands. They're just new brands that you put on top of you. But you'll never get rid of the original one. But you can, so that's why these ones are called minor expression numbers, minor soul surge, minor. And there's nothing minor about it. It's just that it's not the original. It now is something that is moving on top of what you have. Where like everyone has a minor expression number. Like my name is Gabriel. For a long time, I went by Gabe. I don't want to be called Gabe anymore because I don't want 15. 15 is one of the most aggressive numbers. And I have a problem with aggression where, and this aggression isn't like an outward aggression. Any 15s, it's any sixes too. It's like, it's not an outward aggression. It's like a you push me, I have to push you back aggression. And like, I just didn't want to deal with that anymore. And like, I felt like Gabriel, the 36, was a more enlightening and more mature number that I wanted to identify as. So I wanted to change my brand name, like that is what, like, the brand, a brand new company, a brand new name. It is in what it is, it's like the word is there. So I wanted a different thing. And this goes for everything that you do. If you change your legal name, that becomes your minor expression. Let's say you get married, you get a new last name. Now you have a new minor expression. You start to act like that. It doesn't delete the original one, but
it adds on to it.
Absolutely. And you start to move that way. Some people I've given readings to where their birth name no longer, it's not that it no longer resonates with them, but it was like that version of them in the past was who they were. And they became a new person. But I will warn you, there's people that I don't recommend having name changes. And it's not because it's gonna mess up your whole thing. There's like almost the energy and symbolism behind changing your name, because it has those numbers and it's like, it's associated with those numbers that you're given at birth. If you change that, it's almost like you symbolically were not able to handle those numbers. And it's like, you might have to relearn a new vibration. And it's like, and this is not the same case for everyone. Some people just need the name change. They just need it. They need something fresh. They need something new in order to like catapult them into what they need. But some people, if you're like considering changing your name, you need to think like, am I changing my name because, it's like I want this new start, I want it to be better, or am I changing my name because I'm trying to run away from my old self and because I'm afraid to face it, because I'm afraid to conquer it? Because a lot of things is like the reason why someone will change their name is, they're changing their soul's urge and their inner dreams. That's what they're doing. It's like when an artist, my name is Zapray. That's my name. Zapray equals 33. The soul's urge of Zapray is the A and the Y, because a word of advice, Y and W can be vowels sometimes. The word vowel has W as a vowel. So make sure if you have a name like Drew, or you have a name like Troy, that's my middle name, the Y and the W in those names are vowels. So my name is Zapray, Zapray, AAY. So that equals 9. 1 1 7. Not Y is 7. So my soul's urge is a 9 as Zapray, which means that my inner dreams is a 24. So when I take on the characteristics of Zapray, I become an inner dreams 24, a soul's urge 9, an expression 33, and then I would have a subconscious self number involved with that as well. I don't want to do all the mathematics right now. I haven't figured that one out right off the bat. But like, you're gonna take that energy, and it's like, are you taking it because it's what's needed, or are you taking it because you're afraid to conquer your original dreams?
Right.
Is that what you're doing it for, or are you doing it because you just want to, like, you just want something new? And me personally, I've had that name Zapray since I was 6 years old. It was my username on Club Penguin. Anyone ever play shout out Club Penguin? Like I was Zap Space Ray 3, and then I just ran with Zapray the whole time. So it's not, I didn't choose it because it equaled 33. It just happened to do that. And
Wow.
and it's like, that's what I use for my music. That's what I use for my TikTok. That's what I use for who I am. My online persona is the 33. I've always been 33 online. I've been Zapray, and it's like, you could do that. You could do that. You could have a new name and a new sphere, but yeah, just make sure that, like, you're not running away from your old one.
Absolutely. And so you said it was like underscore. And so like, how can you explain the symbols of each number? Because I mean, there's symbols there.
What do you mean? Like
Well,
what each number
like, well,
means?
that was just an example. You said you had an underscore, but that's a symbol. So
Oh, I
there's
understand. Yeah.
dash.
Yeah.
And
So like what does the symbolism of each number mean?
yeah,
Um,
well, yeah, 0 through 9.
sure. And so like zero is nothing. Zero is nothing. And people who have zeros in their name, or like they say their name equals 40, it equals 30, or you're born on the 30th, you're born on the 20th, you're born on the 10th. One of the things with zero is that zero can become anything at once. It can become anything at once. But because it can become anything at once, what it struggles to do is pick something. That's why zero is directionlessness, but it's also absolute direction. Because whenever the zero is attached to something, it's a times 10, times 100, times 1,000, times a million multiplier.
Mhm.
So you attach that zero to something, and the biggest problem with any zeros, that anyone who has a zero, is deciding what to do. So the zero is the nothing, it's the everything. It's, everything is coming from zero. Everything is going from it. It's like, it's there, it's powerful, but it's, you gotta use it wisely. You have to actually use it. You have to use it. It's one of the hardest numbers to have is the zero, because it's like this stagnation of just like, what do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And when the real answer is, like, where does everything come from? Everything comes from zero. So it's, like everything started from nothing, and everything and nothing are the exact same thing. So you have to decide where to put that direction at. And then one is the number of masculinity. It's the imprinter. It is imprinting and imprinting. It is an imprinting energy. Things that imprint start with letters that start with one. We have Jesus. It's like this impression. It imprints. It's like we have Jesus starting with this 10th letter J. We have astrology. Astrology is imprinting upon the earth. The earth is feminine. The earth is a feminine element. Astrology is almost fire in nature. It's this. It starts with the first letter A. It has all the elements, but it's casting the seed. It's planting the seed there. Seed starts with the 19th letter S, which is 1 + 9, 1. One is about starting things. One is about imprinting. The masculine energy impregnates the female energy, which is 2. It's the impregnation, the impression, the seed, the start. So that you can figure out, like, this is why ones are pioneers. They're leaders. They're the start. They're masculine. It's a masculine energy associated with it. It's athletics. Athletics starts with the first letter A. They're athletic. They do this. They do that, and it's highly connected to it. So we have 2. 2 is the number of consciousness. 2 is the number of femininity. Where does consciousness come from? It comes from females. It comes from feminine energy. 2 is birth. Birth starts with the second letter B. It is the first instance of adding on to anything. It is the first instance of creating. 0 and 2 are both feminine numbers. Like the vagina is 0. It is a big 0, and the penis is 1. It's literally like, we're all ones and zeros. It's this feminine aspect. Feminine comes first. It comes first in reality, because 0 comes first. So we have that, and then, but we have the 2. 2 is the actual embodiment of the feminine,
Okay.
because two is connected to body. Body starts with the second letter B. That's why we're made of blood, bones, tissue. I speak, and then, you know, 2 is the number of connection. It's the number of talking. It's therapist. These start with this 20th letter T. I use a tongue. I speak through my teeth. You know, I talk, I text, telephone, telecommunication. These are, you know, I tell you this. We talk about this. It's there. So it's like, it's this connector of all. It's this connector of all. 2 connects all. And that's what the feminine aspect is, because we all come from a mother. We all come from a feminine being starting with the second letter B. 2 is being. It is being, because in order to be conscious, in order to be anything, you require a creator and a creation. You require a mother and a father. And in order to be conscious of yourself, you require a mirror, or you require another being. You require something else in order to be conscious. So this is the, like, 2 is the reflection of the water. Water is the first mirror. There's even more symbolism with, you know, with the water in 2. It's like where is the first place a human could ever look at themselves was the water. You know, without, and even if, let's, you know, you could also say the eyes. You could say the eyes, but you got 2 of them. You got 2 eyes. So, you know, they you know, there's even more 2 there, you know.
You don't have another pair of eyes in front of you. Where else are you going to look?
Exactly. And it's like, you know, you're looking at the 2, you still require another being. Mm-hmm. And, you know, it's like, you know, these are, you know, what is being? Being is the 2. And we have the aspect of the water that is, we have the aspect of the water that is the birth of everything. It is the birth of everything. You know, where we go through the birth canal, and it's the currency, it's the tide. 2 is also connected to the moon. I didn't say this earlier. 1 is connected to the sun. There's planets involved in the numbers as well. So we have 3. 3 is the number of the child, where 3 gets all its stuff from. And, you know, what does a child do? We just need to think about what a child does. You know, a child, it's like, you know, they do everything with a creative purpose. They're joyful. They're optimistic. You know, we don't come. 3 is the number of love. We don't come into this world angry. You know, yeah, we sure come in sad. We come in sad, like, you know, oh, wah, but we're not angry. We don't have hate. You know, a child cannot hate you. They don't comprehend hate. Hate is only achieved when moving upwards. 3, so where we go back to 2 for just a little bit, 2 is the number of shadows. 2 is the number of shadows. The only 2-dimensional thing we have in this world is a shadow. 3 is the first instance of light. It is upwards. Up starts with the 21st letter U. We have which is 2 + 1, 3. So we have upwards. Child starts with 3. What is a child but the first, you know, what does a child do? But it grows up. It is that we all start from a child. We all start as being a child, you know, and even like, you know, like even inside the womb, we're still a child, you know, we're a child, we're the seed. That is the, you know, the child. We have the 1, the seed, which is the 1, and we have the feminine aspect, the womb, the 2, the being, the body, the seed impregnates the body, the egg, the 0. The 0 and the 1, you know, it's like they connect, they impregnate each other. And what is the first instance of having something is 3. It's highly connected to the 3rd dimension. You know, the 3rd dimension is the first instance of up, and it's also the first instance of light. 3 is connected to the light. Light starts with the 12th letter L. Look starts with the 12th letter L. We look with light to even see we are in light. That's why, you know, not to deviate too much, but that's why I named my collective the ZAxis. Because the Z-axis is the upwards element. It is the first instance that we can receive light. And for a long time, people have been in the shadows about divination, about occultism, about numerology. That's the 2nd dimension. We move into the 3rd with the Z-axis. And it's, you know, that's where light is. That's why that's why 3 is the number of optimism. Children are naturally optimistic. They're naturally optimistic. They're naturally creative. Creative starts with the 3rd letter C. They are creative. And where does creation happen? You know, it is but the child. It is the definition of creation. Everyone. I don't care who you are. There's no way around it. You were a kid. You were a child, no matter what. So right. That is why it's connected to communication. It's connected to creating. It's the first instance of anything physical, you know, as goes as human, you know. There's, you know, And like 1 plus 2, masculine, 1, 2 plus feminine is 3. It is 3. And what 3 is it's the bottom of the air. It's the steam. It's the steam. It's the results of the water and the fire mixing together, the sun and the moon, the absolute conglomeration and everything. 3 is the clouds, the water, the amalgamation of the water and the fire and the air, and it's everything. It's the child is all these things from there, and it's from the child which everything comes. 3 is the child. That's where you get its base definition. Children love music. How you have to be expressive. I have a daughter. When I sing to her, that is a absolute amazing way of getting her attention. Singing, playing music. I make my own music. My daughter loves when she hears my music. Or she, it's like, how are they teaching kids on TV programs? It's like, hey, da, 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 da. It's all singing. It's all singing. And it's that's why 3 is connected to music. It's like that naturally speaks to us, music, and that's connected to the child. That's why 3s are communicative. What does the child do? Dude, you know how many, if you want your feelings hurt, talk to a kid. They don't care about anything you say. It's like they're like, hey, you're ugly. Like what? You're ugly. If you're ugly, they're gonna say it. And it's like,
you're ugly.
Yeah, they don't care.
Did you take a shower? Did you take a shower?
Why do you look like that? What? It's the child is just open communication. It's just open, and they're completely expressive. That's why 3 is the number of expression. So then what happens is the child reaches. We go to earth, which is 4. So first it goes 1, which is fire, 2, which is water, and 3, which is air. So we have the elements is in order for the to reiterate, in order for the cloud to exist, the sun has to heat up the water, and the water has to evaporate and become the cloud. That's the 3. The 3 is the cloud. They're up in the clouds. That's it. So then we have the 4. This is where work is concerned. 4 is the number of work because it's the number of foundation. 4, there are no squares in nature. There are no perfect squares in nature. Of course, there's things that appear like squares, but there's there's certain elements. I'm not going to say there's no squares, because there is. There's elements. I can't remember. There's this stone that turns into these amazing rectangles, and it's natural squares. But at the end of the day, a square is a very human design. So what 4 is concerned with is it's concerned with in the box. It's concerned with being inside the box. So this is why it is earth. It's the first instance of earth. But what 4 is the polarity of the bottom of the earth. It's the bottom of the earth. It's it's where seeds are starting to be, they're being implanted inside. This is why when you become 4, that's where you go to school. When you become 4 is when your synapses in your brain are finished. They're not finished developing, but most of them have been created. It's the instance where you start to problem solve. 4 is a rigid number. It's about logic. Mathematics starts with the 13th letter M, which is 1 plus 3, 4. So it's mathematical. It's foundation. It's a house. A house has 4 sides. A contract, a piece of paper has 4 sides. A cell block has 4 sides. A car is 4-sided, on the outside. When we really think about it, everything, and we'll get to it, everything is truly 6-sided, and everything is really 6-sided. When you have the up, you have the side, that side, the bottom, the top. It's 6-sided. But at the end of the day, what I can see around me, what I look at, is 4-sided. I look if I look ahead and I don't look up, I see 4 sides. I see 4 sides, and it's this rigid number. It's connected to work. It's connected to 4 is the number of the farmer. It's the number of the ant. It's the number of the bee. It works tirelessly. It does what
you said 4 is the number of the ant. I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. That's very true. And
You're 4.
I know, and ants follow me like crazy ever since I was little.
I bet when you and word up, if you see an ant and you are anything ant is telling you hey, you're working hard. It's you're working hard. If you got ants in your house, unfortunately, that shit sucks. But you must be working your ass off, or you're about to. something
What
like
about
that.
rats? What about a rat? Or do you have mice in your
I
house?
don't,
I mean, I'm not saying anybody here does, but I'm just like, dude, if you're talking about ants, I'm like, what if somebody finds like rat poop or mouse poop in their house? What does that mean?
I don't know. Like the rat is really connected to, if you think about like how a rat is like it's a prey animal, but like they're so smart. It's maybe you need to wiggle your way out of a situation. It's kind of like what a rat's going to do. They're getting out of mazes. Back to the four, maze starts with the 13th letter M. It's like what like perfect segue. The rat, it's like you got rats in your house. Maybe you got a maze that you need to work through. Maybe you got some mental thing. Mental starts with the 13th letter M. Mind starts with the 13th letter M. Maybe you got something that you need to scurry out of. You got like that. It's like that. There's symbolism with everything you see.
Maybe someone's manipulating you.
Sure. Yeah. And that's the mental trap that you got to get out of.
Yep. Mental trap.
The mental trap you got to get out of is, someone could be manipulating you. And like four itself is actually, is quite a manipulative number. And it's because four is analytical. Four is digging. We look at these blue collar workers as, like they're not very smart. They're not this, yada, yada, yada. Those are some of the smartest people in the entire world. Like farmers, people who weld, people who, they plumb, plumbers, people who build houses. This is connected to four. Masonry starts with the 13th letter M. Like these are highly connected. These are skills because they involve the creation of something. All those elements that I mentioned earlier, the first one that becomes physical, in a real sense, tangible. Water, I can stick my hand through water. With fire, I can put my hand through fire. A cloud, air, I can put my hand through a cloud. Earth is the first thing that's solid. It's the first thing that is solid. Like, like go punch a brick wall. Like go put your hand through a brick wall, or go outside and put your hand through the dirt like it's nothing. You can't do it. It's matter. Four is the first instance of matter. Matter starts with the 13th letter M. And that's why it's the number of building, because the way we speak, going back to the voice, is what we make matter. What we make matter. What I make matter turns into the material world. Matter. And this is why there's four states of matter. There's a liquid, a solid, a gas, and plasma. Four states of matter. There's it's what I make matter. So four is this creation number. It's this building. It's everything connected to going upwards. It's the base. It's the base aspect of things. That's why fours are tireless workers, because they have to live in the box. For anything that involves four, which is building, involves an extreme amount of calculations, which is involved with mathematics. That's why fours require proof for every single statement that they make. And four is the first instance of the material world. It's the material aspect. There's a special aspect with four. It's where things like really become material, because think after the child, what does the child now have to do? The child now has to build upwards. The three now has to go into the world. It now has to go into the world, and the world is a four. We have four seasons. Everything is standing on four. Like I got a chair right here. It's on four legs. Your car has four wheels. Your laptop has four sides. It's a rectangle. This whole thing, everything is in fours and rectangles and squares. It's the number of a human, really. It's like my body is six-sided, but at the end of the day, what I see from people when they turn around is four sides. I see four sides. It's highly connected to there. And it's like that's what it is. And this is the instance. Four is just this down to the nails, down to the teeth, like teeth and nails number, where it's building, it's working, it's hard, tirelessly stuff. It's like, you can read all the numbers like a sentence. Like one is the seed, two is the water that waters the seed, three is the air that blows in more seeds, and it's also the cloud that rains down. Four is the earth where the seed can live, where the seed is really existing. And that's what this material world is, that we are the first instance of existing. And you want to get to nine, and we'll get to nine later. There's an interesting thing about nine. Nine is the top number. It's the highest value we can have. We get to 10, 1 plus 0 is 1. It's the highest value. There are four versions of nine at the base core. There is 18, there is 27, there's 36, and there's 45. After that, it's 54, 63, 72, 81, which is just an inverse. There's 4 versions of 9. There's 4 versions of every number within the 2. Within the actual 2, there's 4 versions of every number, counting the inverses. If I take 11, which is 2, I have 11. Oh, sorry, I have, and let me reiterate. What makes these master numbers, like the quote unquote master numbers special, is that they're actually outside of that circuit. They're outside of that circuit because they have the double. They're the instance. So once we get past 11, we get the other version of 11. We have 29, 38, 47, 56. After that second we get to the 56, it changes. It changes into the 65. It changes right there. And it just starts to inverse. There's 4 base versions of these numbers. 4 is a foundational number that everything is built off of. So, and it's like, where it's the ground. It's the ground. 4 is the number of the earth, the bottom of the earth. Now we move on to 5. 5 is the number of the air that we breathe. I went into it earlier, like nitrogen, 14th letter N. Breathe, the first vowel is E. I breathe in. Everything that I breathe in, the spirit, the breath. 5 is the number of change. 5 is the number of new things moving in, new. Like N, E, W all actually equal 5. N is 14, E is 5, W is 23. Real cool word, new. If you want, it's all 5. It's just the most 5 word you could possibly have, and that's what it's about. 5 is the new aspect. You planted something with the 4. You had the foundation. And now you got to see, what do we need to change? What do we need to change? What do we need to adapt to? So as the child moves into the material world. He's in the material world now, or she's in the material world now. And what now they have to adapt to it, because this is a different world. This is a different world. It's like what's going on. And this is still in the stage of the child. It's like, what's going on? Now I have to adapt to this. Now I have to adapt to that. 5 is highly connected to adaptation. 5 is the real number of adaptation. 5 is evolution. Evolve starts with the 5th letter E. Environment starts with the 5th letter E. So we evolve with the number 5. When the child gets past the 4, now it's in the material world, it has to evolve. In order to survive, we have to evolve. We have to become better. The first vowel of better is E. We have to become better. We immediately need to become better. And it's like, that is what 5 is. 5 is evolving. 5 is the number of talent. 5 is the number of skill. That's why every 5, if you meet a 5, they are good at a million things. And they're so good at it. And that's why 5 is also the number of envy, because they attract envy, because they're just so talented at whatever they do. It's just absolutely ridiculous. 5 is the number of jack of all trades. 5 is everything. Everything begins with the 5th letter E. Everything is going to be thrown at this child the second they come into the world. And they're going to have to adapt to the environment that they are in. And they're going to have to learn. They start to breathe. Once you get outside of the 4, once you're in the material world, what do? You start to breathe. 5 is the top of the air. 3 is the other air number, but it's a mixture of the water and the fire. It's a culmination of all 3 of those. 5 is just pure air. 5 doesn't even exist. Exist starts with the 5th letter E. It doesn't even exist. It's ethereal. It's existentially not even there. It becomes what it needs to become. It's the most free element. Freedom is the word associated with 5. Freedom. What is the first vowel? E. 5. And that's what it is. The child gets into the world, the material world, the 4, and now it has freedom. It has freedom to move wherever it wants to go, and it can change. The sentence structure of the 5 is, it's the seeds being blown in, and the seeds that were not meant to be planted blown away. That's why when you get into that 5 year, you encounter a 5. Like myself, if you have some seeds that I see, like you got something planted inside of you that I think you don't need anymore, I'm gonna blow that away. Like, isn't that right? Isn't that right, Laura? Like, I'll get rid of it. If I see something I don't like that I think is holding you back, yeah, just get out of here, because it's a gust of wind. It's the strong wind that comes. That's the 5. It's this, and it blows it all away. It's what we're breathing. That's why, what we breathe, we're all breathing each other in. We're a collective consciousness. We're everything. And what's really interesting about 5 is inherently connected to 0. 5 is, All the even numbers can connect to zero. The odd numbers, they don't connect to zero. They can connect to zero, but if you add 3 plus 3 plus 3, it becomes 12, and it's not on the same circuit as a zero. Zero is an even number. It's even. Zero is, it's connected to even numbers. 5 is the one number that is consistently attached to zero. It is always attached to zero. 4 can be part of zero. But not every number that ends in 0 is a multiple 4. The only two that are connected are 2 and 5. Those are always connected to 0. And what is 2? 2 is the water. What does water do? It fits into everything. What does 5 do? 5 is the air. It fits into everything. The 0. It is inherently connected to that. It is the stuff that we breathe. I mean, even we breathe like O2, oxygen. I mean, it's not a 0, it's an O. But we're still breathing that 0. We're breathing that 0 in. And it's like that's what the 5 does. It breathes in its surroundings and its environment, and it becomes it. It becomes it. That's why any 5s, it is so important for you to not be around very bad people, because you will breathe in those bad people and you will go down yourself. And this is important. This is the same thing with everyone, but 5 specifically. And that's because the aspect of 5 is there. I am 5. I am literally a culmination of 5. My human body is a 5. I have a head. I have 2 arms. I've got 2 legs. That's 5. My hands, if you look at my fingers, I got 2, 3, 3, 3 right there. That 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. Sorry, my bad. That's 14. 2, 3, 3, 3, 3, 14. I got 14. 1 plus 4 is 5. I got 5 fingers. It's on my toes too. I got 14 sections of my body. I got a head. I got a torso. That's 2. I got 3 parts of my arm, 3 parts of my other arm, 3 parts of my leg. That's 14. 14. My body is 14. It is everything. I have 5 senses. This is, what do we do? What does the child do when it gets into the world? It starts to sense things. What is the first vowel of sense? E. 5. So we have the 5 senses, the 5 physical senses. We get there, and it's like, after we have the 5 physical senses, what do we get after that? We get feelings. We get feelings. You know what feelings are? Feelings are connected to 6. Feelings is connected to 6. That is the number of emotion. Emotion is also connected with 5 because energy. 5 is energy. Energy in motion is emotion. But when we get up to the feel, what do I feel? We have the 6, which is F, and then the first vowel E. It's a real solid connection. And then, so what we get with the 6 is also the number of the adolescent. We finally moved past what we had to adapt to, what we had to change to, and now we need to run it. Now we need to run it. We need to run with what we're doing. If you look at any adult, every adult is the result of their childhood. They're the results of their childhood. That's what they are. They're literally just a big child walking around. Their first culminative years, like 1 through 7, is where they figure out that stuff. We'll get to the 7 as well. That's where they start figuring out life and whatever traumas, whatever things happen to them during that time is what carries on for the rest of their life. So the 6 is the adolescent. This is the feelings, the emotions right before we get to those higher numbers, those 7, 8, 9. It's the emotions. 6 is the number of the scale. This is where we need to start balancing ourselves out. 6 is the second circuit in the 3, 6, 9 circuit. We have 3, 6, 9. 3, 6, 9. It always goes 3, 6, 9. There's no deviation. Next is 12, which is 3. Next is 15, which is 6. And next is 18, which is 9. 3, 6, 9 is on its own circuit. So when we get to that, we get to the 6. 6 is the middle stage. It's the adolescent. It's the adult. It's the adult. We get to, once we get through the child, 6 is the number of responsibility in family. 1 plus 2 plus 3, 1, which is the masculine, 2 the feminine, 3 the child. 1 plus 2 plus 3 is 6. It's the family. It's family. It's friends. It's emotions. What it's love. If you look at all these 3, 6, and 9, one of the base definitions that's involved with all of them is love. It's all involved with love. They're the family unit. And what all of these things have to do is relationships. So 6 is, we start with the 5, so you're adapting to the material world. Now you got to form relationships. Now you got to form relationships to survive. You got to have love. You got to do this. And this is, this is where, where do we procreate? Where do we procreate? We procreate, sometimes in adolescence, but mostly in adulthood, and that's what's connected to the 6. 6 is the number of responsibility. It's responsibility. It's the scale. It's the scale, because what happens is when you're a child, you don't have to balance out all these things. Of course, you got to go to school, you got to do this thing, but like, the perfect goal is to not have any of that stuff going on, not have any, like, this pressing me, having to get a job at 13. Like, that's not the goal. It's not, and it's not like that doesn't happen.
Right.
But the six is connected to the responsibility of being an adult and an adolescent, because that's when the responsibility first starts to move in. So we have the 5, which is freedom. Then you get 6, which is responsibility. It's this sentence. It's this, and it's the adolescence. It's the scale. 6 is the scale. It's the second one in the 3, 6, 9. It has the 3. It has the 9 on the other side. 9 is the maturity number. 9 is maturity, and 3 is the child. The 6, it's locked in the middle. It's locked in the middle, so it has to balance having fun and being mature. It has to do that at the same time. And that's what being an adult is about, is finding perfect balance within, like your job, and then like, your kids, or, your happiness, or, what you're responsible for, the electric bill, the car bill, the groceries, all that stuff. That's when you have to start balancing stuff, because before you had another 6, which was your mom or your dad or your guardian doing it for you. You didn't have to worry about the balance aspect, because you had someone doing it for you. So when you become into the 6 energy, you start doing it yourself. That's when you got to start doing it yourself. That is what is connected to the 6, the adolescent aspect of the 6. Then we move into 7. 7 is the number of pressure. 7 is the number of self-knowledge. 7 is the number of the self. 7 is the number of researching, studying, learning. And 7 is represented by the bottom of the water. 2 is the surface. I can see my reflection in the surface of the water. 7 is the bottom. It's the bottom of the water. That's where all things are coming from. All this knowledge, all this stuff is coming from. So when you get through the adolescent, when you get to the adult, like, that's when the real lessons start. And unfortunately, some kids reach 6. They reach that 6, that aspect of 6 before other people do. And they have to start that 7 energy right away, like, get to work, start learning, start understanding. And what happens is with 7, it is the number of pressure, because it's the number of the bottom of the water. So when you get to the bottom of the water, you start to feel it crush you. It starts to happen. So what happens with the 7 is it's awareness of the self, because all the things that you attained in the 1 through 6, you start to become aware of them. You start to become aware of, like, what hurt me, what felt good, what feels like this, and you start to become acutely aware of yourself. This is why 7 is the number of depression, because 7 is so aware of itself that if it doesn't get rid of, or it doesn't work through the things that are hard, it gets depressed. It gets depressed by the pressure. It's getting pressed down. Press and pressure start with the 16th letter P. 1 plus 6 is 7. So you get pressed. This is why they're like, 7 has a strong presence. This is why 7 has a strong, a strong perception. They're very perceptive of themselves. So when you get to the 7 is when you have to start thinking about yourself, before. And that's why, when you turn 7 years old, that's when you step out of the theta mode. You step out of the theta ways. And that's when you basically finish learning. You finish learning, and now you got to do something with it. Mm-hmm. And, that's where you move to 8, which is the harvest, which we'll get into in a bit. But so you're in the 7, and, 7 is the loneliest number. 7 is the loneliest number, because in order to be alone, what being alone is being inside of yourself. And that's what happens with the 7 is you have to be inside of yourself. It forces you to be inside of yourself. It forces you to be in that ocean. So any 7s, anyone, like Laura having the 74, my name starts with 7. One of the things is that, like, we learn, and we have such deep pockets of knowledge that someone has to swim down there to get to it. Mm-hmm. Not everyone is willing to swim down there to get there. The same thing with the 4, because it's the bottom of the earth. Not everyone is willing to dig down to get there. So with the 7, that's what that's what it's about. It's about this reflection from the top. You see, you're at the bottom of the water. You see the top of the water. Everything is coming down to you. That's, you're right there in the bottom. So the reflection is like you're by yourself. You have the entire culmination of everything that you've amassed up to that 6 in that water with you. So now you have a chance to look at it. That's why 7 is just, it's so hard because they're just so aware. They're so aware of themselves and they're so aware of other people because they see that water. They see through that water. And that's what that is. That's why seven is also the number of rest. It's the number of rest because it needs to give you time to think. It's like damn, like all that shit happened to me. Like while in those first 6 numbers, now I gotta rest. Now I gotta think. Now I gotta use this. Now I gotta use my brain. Now I gotta start thinking. The rest stops physically. Like the rest stops physically. 7 is not a physical number at all. It's the spiritual number. It's the number of spirituality. God starts with the 7th letter. Prophet starts with the 16th letter P. Like psychic starts with the 16th letter P. These are things that are connected. Like it's highly connected to that aspect. And it's no longer physical work. It's mental work. It's mental work connected to the 7. It's mentally, working through this and working through that and working through this. And in that time, the universe rewards you. That's why these 7s, 7 never goes hungry. 7 never is there. Even if they're broke, something just comes around in them all the time. And that's because 7 is like the energy associated with 7 is like, hey man, I'm trying to fish for this. I can't catch anything. And you're just so bummed out that a fish just jumps on the land. That's what 7 is. It's giving you a respiratory break. It's giving you a break so that you can eat, so that you can fuel your mind, so that you can think. 7 is the number of the student. That's why all 7s, they're meant to study, and they always have enough resources in order to do so. They're always learning, and it's because it's dedicated to the self. 7 is the number of downloads. All downloads, all information comes from water, from consciousness, and 7 is right there at the bottom of the water. All the water is on top of the 7, so they can get everything from it. So that's why that's where it starts. You just start thinking and thinking and thinking. And mathematically, something really interesting about 7, and like showing how lonely it is. Prime numbers. So a prime number starts with the 16th letter P. So we have, which is 7. Prime number is a number that is only divisible by 1 in itself. For example, 13. The only number that can go into 13 is 13. That's the only number. 13 and 1. So what's interesting about prime numbers is that prime numbers can only end in 1, 3, 7, or 9. And this is why 5 is everything, because 5 is always has a factor. 5, like 5 and the 0 are always connected. They're always on that same circuit. But if you look at 1, 3, and 9 as opposed to 7, 1 is in every number. Every number is divisible by 1. So it's got stuff. It's got stuff going on around it. The 3 is always with the 3, the 6, and the 9. There's always on the same circuit. So that goes for the 9 as well. 7 is the only number that is never on its own circuit. And the only way to access 7 is through 1 and 9. So if you look at 7 times 3 is 21. It's the only way to get the 7 is through a 1. If you have something that is a multiple of 7, it has to have a 1 or a 9. A 1 and a 9 is the only way to access it, because 1 times 7 is 7. And then 9 times 3 is 27. So that's the only way to get that 7 is through 1 and 9. 1 and 9 are the beginning and the end. So 7 has an enormous connection to the beginning and the end and the knowledge. That's why it's the download. It has the 19, the seed. It has all that connected with it, but it's lonely. It's on its own circuit. And that's because it has to deal with the self. It has to deal with itself. And that's what 7 is. It's you can't not deal with yourself unless you have the 7. And then, you get out of the adolescence, you get into adulthood, and it's like, now I got to deal with this 7. Now I got to think about what happened. Because, a lot of people, a lot of kids, they don't even know that this hurt. They don't even know, like, oh man, that thing that happened to me, that sucks. Like, they don't even know. Like it's, you have no clue. And then you get into that adolescence, and you get into the adulthood, and then it hurts. You see it. 6 and 7. 6 is adolescence and adulthood. That's when it starts to hurt. Because you think about it, hurt is all mental. It's all in the mind. Yes, you can get physically hurt, but you can subvert that. You can subvert that with the mind. And it's like, so everything is about the mind. And 7 is the number of injury because of that. Because it's becoming aware of your injuries. It's not that 7 injures you. It can, but it's mostly that you're aware of the injury. So the only way 7 injures you is if you take what it's showing you, which is intuition. Intuition is connected to 7. If you take what that 7 is showing you and you ignore it, when you get down in that water, if you're holding on to that impurity, you're at the bottom of the water, what's going to happen? You're going to get crushed with it. So if you don't listen to that intuition, you don't listen to that stuff that comes with the 7, it's not going to work out. 7 is also the number of secrets because it's so down there. It's so down there you can't see it. 4 and 7 are both connected to secrets. They keep things very, very secret. And it's like what it is, you know, it's all that stuff that they don't want to divulge because it's inside of them. So the only way to heal when using the 7 is to get all that stuff that you accumulated that's at the bottom of the water and push it out like a beach ball, like shove a beach ball into the water. It's just going to shoot right back up. If you have the beach ball inside of your body, you know, whatever this thing that's trying to go up to the surface, like imagine like that would hurt. Like that would hurt if you have, you know, you got this air, you got this thing like just moving up, it's going to hurt. It's painful. Pain starts with the 16th letter P. It's all about pain, you know. It's like, and pain is only aware through the 7. And then finally we get, you know, and not finally we get to the 8. We get to the 8, which is harvest. Is harvest is the final thing. The 7 was the big monsoon, the big rain. Now we have the growth. We have the growth, which is why 8 is connected. Is another material number. It's the earth, but it's the top of the earth. You know, we had to go through all of that stuff, and through that we finally reached the harvest of whatever happened. Whatever thing we had to go through, the deepness of the 7, the beginning of the 1, the watering of the 2, the child, the 3, the 4, the material world, the freedom, the 5, the change, the 6, the adolescence, the pain of 7, all of that together became the 8. It becomes the 8. It is, and 8 itself is connected to 9. 8 in itself is like its own thing, and 8 is time. 8 is time, and that's why 8 is connected. You know, it's the infinity. It's going here, it's going backwards, it's going here, past, future. So the 8 is always connected to the past and the future, where it's like, well, like look what I accumulated in that 1 through 7. Look what I got through it, and then they can see ahead. They can see ahead to the next 1 through 7. They see ahead to the next one. They see the next 1 through 7 that they have to go through. 8 is connected to time. 8 is connected to death. 8 is connected to Saturn. Saturn is the planet that is associated with 8. 8 is the discipline. 8 is the boss. It is a boss. It has to take orders from itself. This is, you know, it's like, what do we do as like adults? We want to eventually be autonomous. We want to be autonomous. We want to take orders from ourselves. We want to deal with ourselves. We want to be with ourselves. And that's what happens after the 8. But that only comes through getting the stuff from the 7 that you accumulated and getting rid of it so that you can be free. And 8 has a different kind of freedom. It's a freedom of controlling yourself. That's why 8 is the number of control. 8 is also the number of, you know, it's the number of the harvest. It's like, you know, it's the boss. It's what happens. It's also connected to emotions. It's the feminine earth number. 4 is the masculine earth number. So when we get up to 8 is, you know, it's a new birth. It's a new birth of these crops. And it's where whatever we grew during that 1 through 7 is where we're going to reap it now. 7 and 8 is the number of reaping. That's why it's the number of karma. It's the number of karma because karma is just the result. It's the result. And, you know, and the result, you know, there doesn't have to be any bad or good attached to the result. It's just that's what the result is. So you get to 8, and this is the result of all that stuff that happened in the 1 through 7, all of it. And then finally we get to 9. And 9 is this creator number. And you know, 9 symbolizes, you know, you're picking those crops up. You're picking those crops up. And, you know, like sometimes when you get, you know, when you grow a tree or you grow a fruit, you know, sometimes that fruit isn't what you want. It's not what you want. Or sometimes it is what you want. And 9, the energy is, you know, you take what you want and you take what you don't want. You cast what you don't want to the side and you keep what you do want. So you can bring it into the next 1 through 8 cycle. And so 9 is also all those numbers combined. You know, it's every number leading up to 9 is that. So you go up to the 9, and this is the culmination of everything that has happened. Every single thing has happened, and this is where you have the chance to end it. This is where you have the chance to get rid of this, to get rid of that. And 9 is also the number of elderly. You know, it's the number. It's the final moments in life. It's the final moment until you get to 10. You get to 10, which is 1 and 0. You know, it's back to the seed, and it's back to nothing. It's you know, you finally get there. So with the 9 is the creator as well. You know, like 9 is the creator of the matrix, the material world is connected to 9. You know, the English language, something really cool about the English language is it has 9 encoded within it. You take 1 is the first letter, Z Z is the 26th letter. So if you flip that around, A becomes 26 and Z becomes 1. If one is 26 and Z is and now if A is 26 backwards and before it was forwards 1 plus 26 is 27. You could do that with every letter. So it's all connected to 9. There's like, we use 9 to cast spells. We use 9 to cast spells. Like every word, forwards and backwards, if you add them together, it's 9 in the English language, specifically. And it's like, and like the English language is like its own code. But yeah, no, the 9 is it's not the completion, but it's what happens before it. It's the getting rid of. It's also the humanitarian, because when you get up and you look at all this stuff, you look at all the numbers you have all the lessons coming from the 9. Like it's like you went through the whole 1 through 8 cycle. Now you got to give it back to someone, or you take what you get and you if you're selfish with it, you're like, I want it all for myself. I want it all for myself. I don't want to give away what I had. I don't want to give away what I got through that 1 through 8 period. I don't want to give away my harvest, because 9 is also about giving away stuff. Because every good apple that you receive from the harvest, you could give it away. You could give away everything that you pick. Like 9 is the number, like picking the apple. You could give away every single good apple you have, or you could keep it for yourself and eat it. That's why 9 is selfish, and it's also selfless. And it constantly has to deal with that dichotomy. It has to deal with that issue of like, do I give everything away or do I keep it for myself? And it's this creator too. It's like, what you could create someone's day by giving them an apple. They're hungry, you could create their day. But the 9 also, 9 is picking. It's picking. It's taking stuff. So it's like, like this doesn't apply to like the tree that you use to the 1 through 8. 9s can take stuff from other ones. They could take stuff from someone else's 1 through 8. If Laura's 1 through 8 that she went through, a 9 could take it from her. It's possible, but a 9 could also give someone else their 1 through 8. And 1 through 8 added up is 36, which is 9. That in itself is its own 9. It's like you could take it or you could give it. And that's what the 9 does. It creates or it destroys. And that's the long, drawn out explanation of every number.
That's a very good, detail explained answer. So what do you think of the master numbers and why they shouldn't be reduced?
Why? You mean like why? Yeah. So this is a weird thing. I kind of find myself going back and forth with it, where like, so let's say someone's birthday is November 2nd, 2000. Okay. There's like if I was to calculate their life path according to, like regular numerology, I would go 11 and keep the 11 plus 2 plus 2. And it would be a 15. It'd be a 15/6. And it's like, and it's because, it's their master numbers. I feel like during this call, I've actually like figured something out. Maybe they shouldn't be reduced because they're actually off of that circuit that I was talking about. How like there's the, every number's on this four number circuit, where it's like, they each, their inverse is the opposite. It's like they have like a 56 and a 65. And the only numbers that are away from that circuit are the quote unquote master numbers, which is, 11 through 99. So maybe that is why they don't reduce. But what I have noticed is within names, V and K are the 11th and 22nd letter respectively. They do not stay. I will never use like I've done thousands of name readings, like it doesn't matter that. And it's like, is it like, do we make it matter? Do we make it matter that like, that 11, 22, 33, yada, 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 are we the ones that make these numbers master numbers? Because it almost seems like that. But I have involved myself in calculations where it's like, okay, this person's born like the 22nd of September, 1996. So, 1996 is going to be 25. And then, they have 22. So 22 plus 25 is going to be 47. So 47 then plus September is going to be 56. So it's like, it's like I could read them and they're like a 56. But then I've had people who, like have, let's say they, we get rid of that 22, we just make it 4. That would bring them down to a 38. I've had people where like I'm talking to you, or like I have like TikTok videos where like it's a 36 life path And then, if they, and it's because they have an 11, but if they get rid of the 11, they make it 2 as a 27, they vibrate and they resonate more with the 27. So it's almost like, does it really, what does it matter? Are we the ones that decide it matters? And then that's a big question that I have. I personally involve 11 and 22 in my calculations. I keep them the same when I do birthdays, but am I doing that because someone else told me to? Or am I doing that because there's legitimate proof behind it? It's like, I see the proof behind it where it's, like this person acts like this, but it's like, why is there like a legitimate mathematical thing or like a symbolic thing that's so special about like these double repeating numbers that makes it so that I shouldn't reduce it, even though I've seen evidence for both sides where one way it doesn't work and the other way it does. And, I feel like it's kind of this ambiguous. And I feel like, just through this, like my conversation I've just been having, with Laura here and like with myself, like doing this, like the fact that, these master numbers, quote unquote, are like exited, they're away from the circuit of, just the building of the four numbers, like the inverse and the opposite. Maybe there is something to that. But what I don't like is the word master, because yes, there's something masterful about it, but you could apply master in front of every number. Like I could be like, 19 is the master seed planter, or like 14 is the master independent number. 12 is the master child. Like, 15 is the master consumer. There's there's like certain aspects. I could just put master in front of everything. And I don't think, like making these numbers 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, the only masters, when everyone else is a master. Everyone is a master. It's like, and another thing is there's these things called karmic debt numbers, where it's like, which applies to 13, 14, 17, and 16 and 19. And it's like, if these numbers are so bad, it's like you owe this karmic debt. You owe this, you basically owe money for like your karma. Why are they attached to such important words? M is the 13th letter. Why is it attached to music, manifest, math, mental, mind? Why is it attached to that if it's such a bad karmic debt number? Why is 14 such a bad karmic debt number if it's attached to words like nature, nitrogen, new, like even like the new, nitrogen, nature, nurture, like all these things, like there's these powerful words. Like why was the last solar eclipse on the 14th of October? Why does numerology start with 14? The 14th letter N. Why does 9 start with 14 if it's such a karmic debt number? And then we have 16. It's like, okay, why does prophet, psychic, psychology, pressure, why do these things start with 16 if it's such a bad number? 19. Why does soul, spirit, sound, semen, special, why do these start with 19 if it's such a bad karmic debt number? And I think it just really goes back to like, we're programmed by these quote unquote amazing numerologists, or like, people, and like there's nothing wrong with them. It's just, like they're coming from a perspective of like, this number owes this. There is karma, but like what your karma is like what you are, what you accumulate now, like the karma of me, my karma is to be a man. Laura's karma is to be a female. Sure, like if you want to, there's some other gender, but it's like, like that's your karma. It's my karma to be an American. It's my karma to grow up in Japan. It's my karma to be a numerologist. It's my karma to be on this podcast. Your karma as a 13, 13 has to deal with laziness. It has to deal with like procrastination. So does 31. Why is 31 not talked about if 31 is the inverse of 13? Maybe, why it has to deal with that? It's not because it owes a debt. It's because 3 is the number of a child, and 1 is this instant gratification number. So you're always in this mode of instant gratification number where you want to procrastinate. You just want it now. You want it now. You want to take shortcuts. You want this to happen now. So it's like, is it because you were so lazy that now you have to deal with laziness? No, it's because your number literally denotes that. But you can do that about every number. It's like every number has a quote unquote karmic debt, because it's just something they have to go through. So it's like when we call these numbers master numbers, these numbers karmic debt numbers, we're just, like it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense because it's segregation. It's segregation. It's literally like, it's literally racial in like the numbers. It's like it separates them when every number is special in its own way. Every number is a master. Every number can be successful. They say like, 11s, 12, 22s, and 33s rule society. I don't even know why they included 22 in there, because 22s barely even show up in the 1900s. You know, like it barely, like Life Path 22s barely show up in the 1900s. And 11s, no, there's never been a pure 11 in the 1900s. Like you can't have a pure 11 in the 1900s. The last pure 11 was 1800, January 1st. Actually, I think you have to go back to January 1st, 1800 was the last pure 11. 1 + 8 + 1 + 1 was pure 11. Those other 11s are 29, 38s. They're the Life Path 20s. They're 47s. And it's like, what is the master number here? Like, what is the master number here? They're ruling society. Sure, maybe they rule a specific area. Like if you look at presidents, the most common number within presidents is a 29. It's a 29. That's the most common. People born on the 29th and Life Path 29s. That's a specific version of 11. So we could say, like maybe the 29 rules politics in a way. It's like, but like it's not a master. Just like the president isn't the fucking master. He's not the master of everything. Like what about the person who is laying the road? Like who is doing the road, making the road that you drive on? Like that's something a 4 would do. Like where's the master there? Where's the master there? Like why? Like when we have 13s and 31s and 40s doing amazing things. Like you could say, okay, 33 is the craziest number. Like it's like, okay, 33 is the most popular number. Who is the number one musician? Like honestly, like of all time, like the most singular musician of all time. It's Michael Jackson. And what is Michael Jackson? He is a Life Path 42/6. If 33 was so dope, why isn't he a 33? Why is he not a 33? If 33 is this such a dope number, why does the entertainment industry of music not ruled by a 33? Why is it not ruled by a 33? And you would look at the Beatles, the life path of the Beatles is not, I believe it's a 6. I wish I had the numbers just right off, but like it's not a 33 either. None of the members of the Beatles are 33s either. None of them are master numbers, actually. John Lennon is a 24. He's a 24/6. Why is he not a 33? Why? Maybe because there's not master numbers. There's no such thing as a master number. Every number is a master number. They just have to master themselves to become a master number. And that's what it's all about. I'm a 13. Why am I so good at numerology? Like I shouldn't be, because, shouldn't I be at 22? Is it like, wouldn't you expect me to be a Life Path 22 and be so good at this? Like, the only master number I have, quote unquote, is my 38/11 in my soul's urge. But it's like, that's not my life path. I'm born on the 2nd, bro. They talk shit about 2nd all the time. They talk shit about 2. They say, it's like it's feminine, it's beta. Well, then why am I so good at numerology? Why am I not a beta male? Why do I have a masculine, presence? Why do I have an ability to command if I'm born on the 2nd? I must, there must be something wrong with my 2. No, it doesn't make sense. Like it doesn't make any sense. There's no such thing as a master number. There's just numbers that can become masters.
That's absolutely true. I definitely see where you're coming from with that one. And so if in numerology there's color, what does it all mean? What does it mean?
Like colors associated with numbers.
Yeah.
I personally like I have synesthesia, which is where I can I can taste a sound, or like a sound has a taste, or like a color has a sound, or like this spray, like this bodily feeling I have, it makes this sound. So like I see color, like numbers have colors to me. But like if you go up to someone, I like personally 5 is orange. Like 5 is orange hands down, no matter what. But like Laura, what do you think 5 is? Like if you here. Because I put the picture of orange. What do you think 2 is? What color do you think 2 is?
Blue.
Okay, I think it's blue as well. What do you think 3 is?
Yellow.
Yellow. I think it's green. I think it's green. What do you think 4 is?
4.
Just go down the list. Go down the list. What do you think it is? And I'll tell you what I think they are.
4, brown.
Okay. What about 5?
Red.
Red. All right. What about 6?
6. Well, you know what? I take back. You know what? I take that back. 5 is yellow.
Okay.
6 is is 6 is red.
Okay, I would agree with that. See, So, and I think 7 is green. I think eight is purple. I think 9 is black. And I think 1 is white. But like, that's not concrete. That's not concrete at all. Like Laura just listed things that went against what I think. Like I don't think there's like pure colors. You actually see like people on Twitter like, oh, this color is associated with this, and it's like, yeah, and I don't think so. Like I think it's really ambiguous because you talk to other people with synesthesia and you're like, yo, what color does my voice sound like? You can ask someone with synesthesia like, what color does my voice sound like? And you can ask 2 different people with synesthesia, like me and another person I was in a call with. They're like, hey, what color is my voice? And I'm like, oh, your voice is like, it's like pink with like blue spots or something. And they're like, oh, yours is like a silver wind. And I'm like, well, that's not what I saw, but I think that's valid too. I think
Right.
there's validity in it, and I think it's the resonance that you get. It's you could put a triangle up to a light, and if you hold like in like a 3D triangle, like a one that's like this, and then it's like that, a 3D triangle, you hold it up to a light, and if you're not holding the top, it's going to look like a rectangle on the shadow. But if you switch it, now it's going to look like a triangle. Everyone's perspective has truth to it. We can't say that one way is the proper way. Even with this numerology stuff, like if you see something different than me, like that's valid too. And I like to preach that as well. Like, please, like, don't listen to what someone says and take it as fact. Like that's why I provide like an evidence for everything that I say in regards to like numerology, because that's how I work. That's how I work. I needed some kind of like explanation for it. I need some kind of like person to show me, or I need some kind of like mathematical symbolism to show me. And like everyone should be doing that themselves. Everyone should be doing their own symbolism breakdown of everything. Every single thing that they see, they should question and be able to hold both sides without accepting one. That's what's really good about fours. Really good about Laura and myself. We're both fours. Is we can hold 2 ideas and not pick one until we see the sufficient proof for one of them. And that's that's the most logical way of doing things. But each number is going to come to that conclusion in a different way. But it's like, we need to start doing that and not realizing that, like, not everything needs to be so polarized. That's what they're trying to do. They're always trying to switch your polarity. Like, the powers that be, that's why they have red and blue going on. Red light and blue light, red shift and blue shift. It's like, we have Bloods and Crips. We have the Democrats and the Republicans. We have, the blue house. We have the red house. There's the big polarities. The red is the root chakra, and the blue is the mind's eye, the throat. It's the higher chakra. So it's like they always want you polarized with some way, when really there's no polarity. It's just one direction. One direction is 2 direction, but it's a single direction. Up is up and down at the same time. It's it's the Z-axis. It's literally the best way to describe it is the Z-axis. It's up and down. The Y-axis is to the side. It's literally this way or that way. The X-axis is another way to the side. It's that way or that way. It's at the end of the day, there is, when does hot become cold? When does cold become hot? There's no polarity. There's like, it's just an opposite polarity. We know one exists, we know the other exists, but don't get attached to them. Like I'm not like, when Laura's like, oh, I think 5 is yellow. I'm not like, yeah, you're wrong. Like, you're wrong. You're not. 5's not yellow. 5's orange. Like, come on. Like, what are you dumb? Like, what do you mean? Like, obviously 5 is orange. Like, you can't even tell me that. Like, you can't, like, everything is able to be, molded and changed. And that's just how it is. Nothing is concrete, and you should never accept something as concrete until you look at both polarities. A lot of people hear one side of a polarity and they're like, yep, I'm sold. That's it. That's it. I did it. I found all the proof I need because I heard this one aspect. And it's like, that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do. That's like that aspect of myself is why I was so hesitant to get into spirituality. It was not even hesitant. It was just, I don't have enough proof. I don't have enough stuff. And I was able to, I was like, it could happen. It could exist and it could not exist. But now, now that I have numerology and I have other aspects, I have so much proof and evidence that it's like, I'd have to be something to not believe it now. You know, it absolutely be insane. But it's like, you know, I had to balance each polarity and go through each one in order to get there. And that's what everyone should be doing. So as for, you know, like colors, I think, you know, it's like, you know, whatever you feel like. You know, it's
Absolutely.
nice. Whatever you want.
And so then why did you call your collective the Z-axis?
So I call it the Z-axis. I mentioned earlier, you know, it's up. Z is the direction up. And what I want to do is I want to elevate people. So the XY axis is the shadows, The second dimension is where shadows exist. We have, for a long time, numerology has been used by the people, the Illuminati. The Illuminati literally translates to illuminated, the illuminated ones. And, you know, for those of you who want to say like, oh, the Illuminati doesn't exist, the Illuminati is an actual real life entity created by Jesuit Adam Weishaupt. And it's called the Bavarian Illuminati. It's a real thing. You can look it up. It's an actual entity. Is it doing something right now? Like, I don't have actual physical proof, but that's not why I'm here to talk about that. You know, we're not, but like, the thing is like, you know, those illuminated by numerology, it is factual that they are using it. You think they're LARPing, like live action role playing? Like, you think they're LARPing when they go do this? They go like worship an owl at Bohemian Grove, or they, you know, they do 9/11 on, you know, in the 11th state, you know, and they on the 77th parallel hitting the 77th floor. You think it's a coincidence that breaking news equals 56, that mind control equals 56, that Pope equals 56? You think, like in gematria, you think it's a coincidence that words equals 56? You know, you think that's like a coincidence? No, it's real. You know, you think it's a coincidence that president equals 47? This country was founded on July 4th, which is 4/7 in Europe. And, you know, that's where we came from. You think it's a coincidence that government equals 47, authority equals 47, gavel equals 47, judge equals 47, Democrat equals 47, Republican equals 47. Well, that, you know, that must be a coincidence. You know, it's like there's no factual evidence of that. You know, it's just kind of dumb. And it's like, okay, DC backwards equals 47 too. That's weird. And it's like, hey, why is that there? And it's like, you know, they're using it. There are people above us that are using it, and not even necessarily like people above us too. Real life people that have their life figured out are using numerology and astrology and palm reading and divination and manifestation. The Z-axis is all about getting us out of the shadows and into the light, which is upwards. Because like I said, 3 is the third dimension, which is the first place where light can exist. That is the first place where light can exist. 3. And that's what it is. You know, that's getting outside of the cave. That getting out, the Plato's allegory is being stuck inside the cave. Getting outside of the cave is going to the 3. That's what the Z-axis is about. You know, and also my name is Zapray, so it sounds real sick. But like, you know, it's the Z-axis is getting us out. It's getting us out of the shadows into the light. And numerology is an enormous way to do that. You know, it's like, you know, like, where were you before you understood that, you know, like, I'm this number and it means this? Like, that's crazy. Like, why? It's like, why? And it's like, you know, if the number I'm born controls this, like, what else does that number control? What else does that number influence? And it's like, the more you get into it, the more you look into it, the better it becomes, the better you understand yourself. And that's how you illuminate yourself. You know, I don't want to sit here and teach all the bad stuff and all the negative stuff that's going on, because that's not what's going to elevate the world. What's going to, you know, a lot of people around here and a lot of conspiracy theorists, I've been a huge, enormous conspiracy theorist. And I'll tell you this, and if you're a conspiracy theorist, you better figure this out. You know, like, you come through that spiritual awakening, you trying to wake everyone up. You're like, oh, I got this knowledge. Like, I got this. It's me. I got to save everyone. Everyone needs to be saved. They got to, you know, I got to let you know about this. So, you know, like, do you know that, like, you're getting fucked? Like, did you know that, like, that they do this and they do this? And then, you know, the only thing it accomplishes is either like, you know, one out of 100% chance it's like, they're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I can't believe you have let me know this. I am now going to elevate my life and fix myself and use this information for good. Or what happens is, hey, bro, like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Like, and like, they start getting mad. They start getting mad. They're like, because you're telling a bunch of bad stuff. No one wants to be fooled. No one wants to think like, oh, I'm an idiot. Oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't know, like, you know, I didn't know, like, the moon landing was fake, or I didn't know, like, they scripted 9/11 or yada, yada, yada. Like, I didn't know that. Like, what? I must be dumb. I'm not dumb. Like, I'm not dumb. What are you talking about? I'm not dumb. And like, that's what's going to happen. And then, you know, that's 1 out of 100, like 1 out of 100 times that doesn't happen. And then the other time, if you actually get them to believe it, and like this will happen, is you tell someone this, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're right. Oh my God, you're right. This is horrible. Everything is horrible right now. They control us. The elites. They have me in a chokehold. They've got me. The Illuminati's out to get me. The reptilian overlords, they're coming to get me. They faked it. They're faking the news. They're scripting everything. It's all fake. What do I do? What do I do? And then it's like they're getting punched in the back of the head. They're like, like it's like you tell them that like, like this is going on and like this bad stuff is happening. They're getting punched in the back of the head and they didn't know it. And you let them know, and now they're like, I'm getting punched. I'm getting punched. Please, like I'm getting punched. Guys, do you know that you're getting punched too? And they're just getting hit in the back of the head over and over and over again, getting damaged by this fear, this fearful knowledge they have. It's like at some point, like, the more you go into your truth-seeking journey, you find all these people who are like telling you like, oh, they're doing this, they're planning this, they're gonna shut off the power grid on this day, they're gonna do this, they're gonna throw us into World War III. It scares you. It's like, it's literally like what the news is doing, except it's in a different light. It's like exactly what the news is doing, where it's like, like, oh, we're going to war. Look what they're doing over there. Yada yada yada. And it's like, oh my God, the world is shit. It's so bad. Like I don't want Trump as a president. I don't want Biden as a president. It's like they're focused on like this negative outcome. That's what they want. So the actual way to elevate someone is to teach them power. Because you can't, like there's people out there, and I'm not one of them. There's people out there who are meant to teach people conspiracies because, I myself learned from people like that so that I can remove the guy punching me in the back of the head and just get out of the way. And it's like, oh, the news is fake. Well, I'm not going to look at it anymore. That was dumb. I don't even know what's going on in the world. Don't even tell me what's going on in the world. Because what does that have to do with anything I'm doing right now? Like I'm out here trying to do a numerology business. I'm out here trying to feed my family. I'm out here trying to like buy some groceries. Like what is going on in Israel or Palestine have to do with me? That has nothing to do with me. There's absolutely nothing to do with me, and it is only lowering me. And the same is, it's in the same vein as a conspiracy theory. There's nothing wrong with a conspiracy theory, but at the end of the day, you have to realize all the knowledge you have is for you. It's for you. It's for you. You need to use it for you to elevate you. So the reason why I teach numerology and I leave all that agenda stuff out is because if I can teach you that, like numbers have power, you're going to be like, numbers have power. Numbers have power. What else has power? The planets have power. The stars have power. My palm has power. Wait, you know who really has power? I have power. I'm powerful. I am the one that's powerful. And when you find out this information, you realize that you're a literal God and that you are God, having a human experience in the human flesh, the the vessel, then you're out of it. You can no longer be controlled by these entities, and you can no longer be affected by their agenda. That's why teaching light is always better than teaching fear. When you teach someone, it's like, oh, they do this and they do this, they do this. 9 times out of 10, you're going to scare the hell out of that person, because that's another reason why they don't want to believe it, because that's scary. That's scary that they have such control. That's so scary. But if you don't even let that affect you, that's how powerful you are. Like what you make matter. Like I said earlier, what you make matter is what's going to matter. And you don't want to make those thoughts, that mental mind stuff that you have going on. You don't want to make negative stuff matter. So that's why I teach positive stuff with the ZAxis, my numerology. It's the ZAxis. It's elevating us upward. And the only way to elevate is through love, not through fear. And love is connected to 3. ZAxis, third element, third dimension, love, light. Both start with the 12th letter L. 1 + 2 is 3. Is it.
And then I think the last one is going to be, what do you think? Well, why do you think that you stand out from other numerologists?
Why do I think I stand out from other numerologists? Yeah. I am not interested in gatekeeping at all. And we know this is what has been going on in the numerology communities. We have a collective of people who want to gatekeep information. I do not want to gatekeep information. If I know it, I will teach it, because that is what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be evolving. That's the Z-axis. We are supposed to be evolving. We're supposed to be going upward. And if everyone knows numerology, then we're going crazy. How are we gonna get controlled when everyone is like knows numerology, everyone knows astrology, everyone knows how to look at their life and see, what can I tell from numerology? I can be like, oh, I'm a 4. You know what 4s are prone to? 4s are prone to disorganization. They're prone to disorganization. That is the opposite of their balance. If your room is dirty as a 4, if you're not working out as a 4, if your diet's not good as a 4, then you're out of alignment. And it's like, yes, those are things that, oh, everyone should know. Like, if your room's bad, your diet's not good and you're not working out, it's bad. But that's a direct correlation from 4. Like, if you know that, like, that's a trap you can get into, and you're like, and because numerology, you can see that, like, that happens to 4s. Now you can just use that. And it's like, okay, well, I need to fix it then. Like, I need to fix it then. And you can do that a million times with every number. If everyone was doing that, they would have a scalpel-like ability to identify themselves. Because what is the main rampant source of negativity and things that are going on right now? It's the 80-20 rule. And the 80-20 rule is 80% of this is done by 20% of this, or 20% of this is done by 80% of this. And what it is right now, 80% of people don't know who the hell they are. They have no idea who they are. And that is why we are in the predicament that we're in, where no one wants to do anything because no one is sure of themselves. That is the entire issue I have with angel numbers, is because what you're doing is you're making that number that you see an external source. Oh, it's angels giving me messages. No, it's not. It's you going outwards. It's your inner world reflecting outwards to you, back to you, and creating your reality. That is what it is. So when you are unsure of yourself, that's when you start describing angel numbers. But when what a good way to be sure of yourself? Astrology, numerology, the Chinese zodiac, palmistry, dowsing rods, pendulums, tarot cards. You can be absolutely sure of yourself because you're using the real life energy that is surrounding us at all times and actually understanding it, and understanding that you are an amalgamation of all that. You are the combined forces of all of those things. So when you look around you and you understand yourself, that's when someone else can't tell you how to think, because you know how you think. You know how you think. And what separates me from other numerologists is that I want to teach people how to think. I want to teach you how to think. I don't want to teach you what to think. I don't want to teach you what to think. I want you to think for yourself. Listen to the way that I acquired this. I did not read a single book on numerology, yet I'm facts. I'm facts with it. I'm sick with it. I'm good at it. And I'm good at it because I trust myself. And I did that through numerology. The only outside source I used when it came to numerology was that app that I got in 2019. That application that taught me the most basic rudimentary things. After that, I had to figure out all the stuff from it. And one of the first proofs I ever had was, why is 5 the number of change? Maybe because it's smack dab in the middle of all the 9 numbers. It's right there. Where does it change? Where does it change? Where's the instance of the 4 and the 4? We got the 5. 5 is right where it changes. It's the middle. It has the freedom to move to any number it wants faster than any other number. And that was achieved through just thinking and wanting to know and wanting to figure it out for myself. You don't need someone else to tell you how to think. You can do all of that on your own. And that's what separates me from other numerologists, is eventually one day I want someone better than me to take my place. I want 1 million people better than me to take my place. I want 1 million numerologists that blow me out of the water, that make me look like a child, that make me look like I don't even know what I'm talking about. They're like, wow, that was, I want to look like a guy using a rock to build something. I want to look like a guy hitting a rock against another rock when it comes to numerology eventually. There are other numerologists out here who don't want that. And that's the ego. That's the ego involved. Mm-hmm. And I've had to deal with that myself. Being this good at numerology, sometimes it's like, it feels good to feel special. It feels good to feel special. It feels good. I don't encounter many numerologists that I respect. I hope to, and I know I will. I want it out there. I want people better than me. I want people better than me because that's what makes me better. And the thing is, though, is that there's this ego involved where it's like, do I want someone better than me? If you're the best football player of all time, do you want another football player to be better than you? No. You like it at the top. You like it at the top. And it's like, what we need to do though is that we need to realize that like everything is temporary. Everything is moving in cycles. Everything is moving in seasons. And like, you know, right now I can temporarily be the best numerologist in the world. I would love that. I would love to, but I don't want to be the best of all time ever. That means I failed. That means my vision, that means what I wanted failed. If I'm the best and no one became better after me, then I failed. No one, like, you know, and what separates me is that I don't want that to happen. I want people better than me. I want it. Please show me, get better than me, become the best numerologist, and don't just do nothing with it. Don't just do nothing with your life. Do something amazing. You know, the Z-axis is moving up. Every single person on this entire planet could be living their dream right now if they knew numerology. They can literally be living their dream. And I get it. You know, it's like some of us aren't supposed to, but what if we did? What if every single person lived their dream and we worked in a symbiotic relationship where people just did that? That is possible through divination, through astrology, through numerology, through palmistry, through tarot cards, through the Chinese zodiac, through everything. Vedic astrology, all of it. It's possible to do that, to know your purpose, to know what's going to happen to you, to know all of that, to deal with it and overcome it. I want to teach that. And I don't want to teach basic definitions either. I don't want to gatekeep. The only thing that I'll quote unquote gatekeep is a personal reading for me. And that's because you're that, you know, like, what am I going to do? Go to work for free? Like, what am I like? I'm going to like talk to you for 2 hours, look at your whole chart, do a scalpel like mine, look at it, and then just do that for free. Like, no, like, come on. Like, I gotta make a living too. And that's not gatekeeping. You know, like I'm out here, like, I'm putting all my stuff on the podcast. If I knew this amazing thing, like right now, you know, this isn't the entirety of my knowledge, but this is just like what I'm able to produce. I'm trying to put it in like the most free fashion you could possibly put it in. And if I knew that, like, yo, you do this and it just fixes your life instantly, I would tell you. I would tell you. I would, you know, like, you know, there's no remedy for that. But like, if I knew it and it had to do with numerology, I would tell you. I would tell you. I wouldn't gatekeep it. I wouldn't be like, hey, yo, you got to pay me $1,000 to know this. The only money I will charge you is if you want to get a personal reading from me. And you know, sometimes you could achieve that through that. But and it's really that, like, you know, if I had all the resources in the world where I had every single number described and you had it there, like, you could do it. Like, hey, you wouldn't even need me. But that's, you know, that's far in the future. I'm young. I'm 23. I gotta deal with a lot of stuff before I can, you know, get all that information out. And right now is what I got. And like what I got, I'm willing to give out. I'll do, you know, and this isn't the only thing that I can give out. You know, I want to be on a bunch of podcasts. I want to make a bunch of videos. And I want to do that. And I want to continue to do that. And I want to wake everyone up. I don't want people down, because that's part of the ego. That is part of the ego, wanting to be better than everyone. When really what you should be doing is you should be looking at people like they're your children. You know, like the way we look at our children, we don't want our children to be worse than us. We want them to be better than us. Why would I want my students to be any different? You know, why would I want the Z-axis to represent anything other than elevation and people better than me? Why wouldn't I? And that's what separates me from other numerologists.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Mr. Zapray, for joining us on this lovely interview here at Know Your Why.
Thank you so much. And I hope I could give a few whys out. I hope you guys can know your why. And, you know, as much as you want to know your why, you better know your whys.
Know your why.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Laura, for having me on. This is a really good, I'm really excited to see what people gain from this. It's a really good experience. And I think we did really great.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Take care. Bye.
Bye-bye.